following is a special presentation. From the Captain Esports Network.
This isn't just a game. This is iRacing. The Gateway Arch right there in the background. We're technically in the state of Illinois, but we all know it as St. Louis. The area here full of racing history, not only in around St. Louis, but of course the Missouri area and so on and so forth. And you saw the arch there in the background as we came on the air. As a matter of fact, you're about to see it over to the right, maybe if the camera turns a little bit more. But either way, you got the gas station there on the left and Worldwide Technology Raceway, a.k.a. Gateway Motorsports Park, on your screen as we get ready for race number 13 of this Sim500 NC811. Hey, there's the Edward Jones Dome in the background. NC811.org Cup Series season, where we meet me in St. Louis. No, not the 1944 film with Judy Garland. We're talking about the race here at St. Louis, Missouri. I am the captain. We welcome you in for 130 laps of racing for the third time in series history. We sit here at Gateway for the Cup Series season, and a man who, much like I did in Indianapolis this weekend, fought and battled and clawed at Gateway and had as much success as I did, it sounds like. Kevin England. Welcome back, Kev, from your rough racing in Gateway, your rough weekend in Charlotte. Good news is there's no rain in the forecast here, just straight racing.
Yeah, I don't, they talk about racetracks where you would pour water in it and fill it up like a football. It's kind of ironic because I love New Hampshire, which has a very similar feel to it. But this racetrack, this is a complete mystery. We're going to see a really fascinating race here. And let me tell you, if we don't see cars hitting the inside fence over in turn 2, I'll be shocked, because turn 2 is probably one of the most evil turns to get off of in the entire circuit. It's just evil. This place is evil.
We're seeing it. And we're seeing it in practice here, but let's talk about a couple things that are different here on iRacing. Okay, first things first. This is still an old surface on iRacing. If you go back to, I believe it was 2018, was when this track actually got repaved and resurfaced and stuff, and that's what they're racing on today in real life. This, as you see by the walls and everything, is still kind of got the look of the old track that was kind of abandoned for a little bit, and repurchased, redone, and updated, and so on and so forth, and of course has the very old surface. So this is a very tricky track on iRacing, because here we come with these next-gen cars, and we have to set this up as, like you said, you're racing New Hampshire, when really you got a track that's worn out like a Darlington or an Atlanta, an old Atlanta, or a Charlotte or something like that, and you see what you get on the screen here, multiple cars wrecking. But the one thing about it is we're going to see some I think we're going to see some good racing tonight. I think we're going to see some cautions, unfortunately, because this track just presents a hazard when it comes to the slipping and sliding and so on and so forth. Plus, the sun's baking, as always, down here in the Midwest and that kind of thing. But turn 2, as you mentioned, was that something for you? Was it a tight exit type of thing? Was it a coming off the bottom? What bit you during the NIS races?
there's just no grip down there whatsoever. And you try to pick up the throttle because you want to make speed coming to the back straightaway. And every
Right.
time you stand on the gas, the car just breaks loose. And you could run 100 laps there perfect, and lap 101, the thing just goes sideways. And next thing you know, you're skating through the grass and slapping the inside wall. So I suspect we're going to see so many cars slip off the racetrack, go left there. And there's a seam down in between one and two that makes it difficult. The entry to pit road, you got to use the little
Mm-hmm.
road coming off. I mean, it just, it's a bunch of little things that add up to being a very evil racetrack. This gap in the backstretch is rather interesting too, because you start to pick up your shift points.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. Drivers will be just hammering the car down the front straightaway into turn one, maybe picking up to fifth gear, which would be conventional, dropping to fourth, and then dropping it all the way down to third so that they could get the right ratio to drive off. We'll see drivers shifting down to fourth, possibly even third, down in third and turn three and four. So it's going to be an interesting night. You
We'll
have your hands full at this racetrack.
No, it's going to be very interesting as we see Justin Fuller come out on track as qualifying begins. Presented by 811. Know it's below. Call before you dig. For qualifying, Justin Fuller out here on track. Of course, he's been one of the hotter drivers on the circuit this season. As he goes down to turn one right now, this corner banked at 11 degrees. And you see him right between those two dark lines. That has always been the groove I try to run here at this track, is between those two dark lines. You see him almost get the wall off of turn two, back up to fourth gear here, and maybe even fifth gear down the long back straightaway here down to turn three. There's the entrance road that you talk about coming to pit road, and he's going to kind of throw away this first lap, it looks like, and take the second lap around. And one thing we'll talk about tonight is Donnie Leah won this race last season. And one thing that comes to my mind in that race last season, Kev, was the line that Donnie Leah ran in 3 and 4. And I think that's going to come into play here tonight, is how he diamond those corners in this race. So I think that's going to be something to watch. As Fuller right now still 34.80 is the pole time.
Yeah, this time drives down, diamonds the corner, which lets it wash up, then turns down to the white line. He's going to exit, steer out to those marks on the outside of the fence where the end of the safer barrier is, pick up the throttle and cross the line, and he'll put down a 34.524, which is really stout lap here if you can get down in the 34s.
Chad Coleman was purple there for a second as he crosses the line, goes to the top of 34.50. Tyler Dalton in the purple now as he comes off turn 4. And Dalton goes to the top at a 34.34.
Wow.
Good lap there as Kevin King completes his 2 laps, 34.91. So good job on Tyler Coleman. Good laps there. Justin Mons P4 in that 41 car. How about that Camaro?
A pretty good time for EJ O'Rourke too, at 34.704. The times are really tight here, and you're going to see, drivers hit the beginning.
Yep.
And then you're going to see drivers hit the end out in the back because they're going to be in the 35s, some of them in the high 35s, and that'll be a good lap for them. This is one of those racetracks that doesn't tend to show a lot of...
Mike Kelly went to the pole for a second. Sorry, Kev. But then Mojica took it over. 34.30 with a 5 to the pole for Pedro.
Yeah, very cool to see Pedro back. And what a way to say, hey, I'm here. Finished second last year, if I recall.
I believe he did, if I have to look at that correctly. But you do take notes, pretty good notes.
Yeah,
Pedro
six seconds off of Donnie Leah. And what a way to come back for our champion from last year.
Yeah, good lap on his part. Obviously, we'll see if he can hold on to the pole. Still got about a minute or so left in qualifying. This track, 1.25 miles. It is egg-shaped. It is flat. Of course, this track originally was a road course back in its heyday. I actually saw a video. I forget the gentleman that posted it, but posted a video on YouTube of what racing used to be like at Gateway and showed an ARCA video from 1985 on a modified... Cody into the wall. Right, almost took my camera out. I think it was a 8 turn or 5, 6, something like that turn modified oval that ARCA ran at back in 1985. And the race actually, I believe, was won by Bob Keselowski, if I remember correctly. So it was kind of cool to see. And this was before this oval was even thought of that they built. So
Yeah, they used to exit at the entrance of turn one and go outside the racetrack.
Yeah.
Or, it was well, actually, they were going the other way, weren't they? On
I
that racetrack. If I
believe
remember.
so. And that's why you see the turn 2 area right here where the camera is. That was part of the road course right here. It was coming back on the track, but they would go out and come back in right here or something like that. I don't know the exact details of it, but looks
Well,
like.
now it's egg shape, a little like Darlington without the banking.
Right. That's pretty much what it is. So, hey, congrats, Pedro Mojica. He'll win the pole tonight, presented by 811. Notes below. Call before you dig. Let's go trackside.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, as the cars grid up, to get you ready for 130 laps of racing here around this 1.25 mile egg-shaped oval that is Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway, here virtually on iRacing. Pedro Mojica returns to the series this weekend and wins the pole. The Texas driver, 34.306 seconds, outruns Mike Kelly by a little over 8 thousandths of a second for the pole. Tyler Dalton, Chad Coleman, they'll take row 2. Justin Fuller, Wesley Donaldson in row 3. Row 4, David Comstock, Jimmy Coleman. And row 5 sees Justin Mons, I believe, might be his best qualifying effort of the season, alongside Brian Macklin. Scott Simley, EJ O'Rourke, they are there in row number 6. Row 7 is Jose Gonzalez and Robert Friery. Glenn Campbell, Anthony Calantoni, Kevin Stone, Kevin King, all the way back in 18th. Charles Van Schaik and Alan Wild there. Your top 20, Jose Funky Cole Medina in 21st with Nelson Rivera. Bobby Wetzel, Adam Benfield in 23rd and 24th. Richard Beasley, Cody Giles. Josh Parker, the winner last night in the Xfinity race with Patrick Colby, Joey Jattina, Randy Yoakum, Doug Sigmund, Brian Wortman, Mark Schrader, and Gerald Livingston. Rounding out the 34 starters, as mentioned, 130 laps, 160 miles from the math I did. 78 degrees, 3 sets of tires, 2 overtimes if needed. Usual iRacing default weather. And before we forget, let's show you the point standings as they come down the back straightaway here. Kevin King leads by 54. The bubble is down at Stony Benfield there, 20th position. Again, you cannot miss more than 4 races, and you have to be in the top 20 to make the points. But obviously, still got some races to go here. But that is where we sit as of right now, entering the point standings tonight. Tight little battle down there in the 20th position. I think that's going to get tighter as we get closer to the playoffs. Kevin, let's do it. Let's go green at the arch of St. Louis Worldwide Technology Raceway. Mojica and Mike Kelly lead them to the green flag.
And Mojica's going to lead him in with Kelly surging to the outside. He gets turned sideways and saves it. He got knocked back straight, and he's able to grab a gear and drive out of it as contact out of turn 2. And, well, there's one in the grass.
Comstock. Comstock goes to the grass, and caution is out.
Yellow is going to come out. Yeah, he rolled back onto the racetrack. But That's not exactly what I expected, but I'm awful not surprised to see it as Pedro's got to lead us back here on lap 1 to the
Uh,
yellow flag.
Let's he's already off here. Let's just go back to the start of the race. It's just
That was a bit tumultuous there.
slightly, and that's a big word. But here we go. Let's go back to the green flag here. Yeah, Kelly and Mojica, and this is the interesting part. I talked about that middle spot on the track that I like to run at Gateway in turn 1. I think they both went for it. Let's see. There's a little seam right there. You see Kelly goes in, and well, Mojica's there. And they run into each other. Nice save by Kelly as he gets it straightened out. And then back here towards the back, David Comstock is, well, going for a beast of a spin.
I think he just got a little tap, tap, tap on the back bumper and sent around, and then
Let's take a look as they come to the start again. Let's our crash cam here is, of course, our cameras presented by Track Cams 22 as always. Check them out at trackcams4gourmet.com. Justin Mons there behind him in the 41. I think these two, didn't they make contact at Comstock got loose on his own.
yeah, just lost it. Like I said, coming up off that corner, when you pick up the throttle, if you step on it. And that's Comstock, who finished 3rd last year. I mean, he knows how to get around this racetrack, but cold tires and just that evil turn 2. We're going to see it over and over again. No surprise to see him turn around.
Is that also a third gear thing, Kev?
Yeah, it's just so little traction down there on the bottom, especially. Some of these racetracks with this car, the way it drives, when you step on the gas, it will go. And then when it starts to launch, it just breaks traction and makes a left-hand turn.
Interesting. Well, either way, caution out here for the first time. Last year's race, we had 5 cautions. The season before, we had 12 cautions. So you obviously do the math, that's an average of 9. But, one thing we can talk about is the fact that this season has seen its share of cautions.
I think that's just a byproduct of hard racing, quite frankly.
No, I agree 100%.
These guys it's hard to pass. The cars are level. The competition is stiff, and everybody is not given a quarter. There used to be a kind of gentlemanly way to race if somebody was pressing you. Now, you arrow block, you side draft, you do everything you can because it's hard to pass. And these guys, like the real world, are up on the wheel every lap, running right on the ragged edge in order to run the times and keep competitive because everybody is so fast here.
Yeah, it should be a quick yellow here with no lap down cars. We'll get back to racing here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Again, appreciate everybody joining us here this evening on the Captain Esports Network. Hopefully you get the word out to your friends that we're back racing. This is the second of 3 straight nights before we get a little bit of time off again. Once we get back here next Sunday, though, we're back on and we're live pretty much every night of the week again as we get past into the summer, where we find out who, as I said yesterday, gets going during the summertime and who, as in baseball terminology, catches that June swoon, which you never want. Mojica brings him to the green. Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go. Let's see if we could restart this in a better way.
I'm going to let you do this one. I'm bad luck.
As they roll back down into turn number 1, everybody comes through the gears. Sometimes you could just roll to 3rd and stay there as you drive through. No need to go up to 4th and then drop back down.
4 wide off 2. That's not going to work.
Macklin around. You got the 21 down in the grass. Everybody taking evasive action.
Wesley Donaldson up there at the top just got squeezed. Brian Macklin, Kevin King stuck it in there and was trying to get what track position he could. That was not pretty.
Did I say this track was evil? I mean, it's just a matter of even when you get a couple laps in, it's still somewhat tedious. And let's go back and see if we can.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where I can get a good replay of this here. This was all right. It actually happened there.
I think Wesley just did not get it going there on the outside and was being very cautious. He dropped out of the pace, running the high side, and
We're just gonna go back to the green
Probably.
flag.
Yeah, probably was no.
So it's gonna start. You're gonna see in turn 1 and 2, Kevin King is gonna get a super run up the middle here, and he's gonna get 3 wide, and then all of a sudden they're gonna be 4 wide. As they go
If
to
you
the corner.
watch, though, Kevin kept his car down, much like the Ricky Stenhouse thing. He was way down. He never had a play in that. I think the two of them just tried to predict the space, meaning the 30 and the 91, and they crowded each other. Kevin had no play in that, other than the same situation that Kyle Busch would be upset about, which is he stuck his nose in there 3 wide on basically lap number 1. Same idea. So they check up, he turns down, he's down underneath, and see how far left he is. There was room for 4 cars to get through there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Simley has to come up the track. Coleman checks up, Jimmy that is, and EJ gets the worst of that, spins to the inside wall. That's going to be an interesting review when that's over with here. Let's look at that one more again. Let's go, let's hit the blimp here.
One thing about this racetrack is you can suffer a little bit of damage and still run pretty well. Ask me how I know.
How do you know, Kevin? Yeah, well, Coleman ends up getting hit there, too. Then cars are checking up. 24 into the 15, and 9 gets some damage.
Yeah, 9's got to fix the front end. He took a pretty good shot to the front. That would be in iRacing parlance a 4X for sure.
Speaking of terminology.
Yeah, for those that don't know what that means, when you race, you get X number of points depending on contact with different things, the wall, other cars going off. If you drive off in the grass for some reason, you get a 1X. And in the physics of the game engine, Sim engine.
Good job.
If you get over, say, 17X, then they penalize you and make you pit. And if you're at 25X, I think it is, they disqualify you. But that doesn't count in league races. But
Well, here it does now. They made the rule change a couple weeks ago with the cautions. It's 21 here. If you get over 21 incident points, as they call it, you're done. Park it. You're gone.
Off.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's something they're trying to do to knock down the yellows. But unfortunately, here we're 2 for 2.
So let's talk about the good news. Is there's plenty of time while the cars are circling the racetrack under caution for you to effect repairs to the car. So if you're somebody like Brian Macklin and others who had damage, as we go back to green, you can get that damage fixed as third time's a charm, Chris?
Maybe. We'll see. As Fuller sends it in there in the turn 1 and 2. First 4 cars, single file. First battle back here as Mons gets loose. He's able to hold on to her as here comes Kevin King 3 wide to the bottom. Looking low there. That is the 12 of Scott Simley, the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, who's rocking the Oreo car. Oh, Kevin getting a little loose there on entry.
Oh, he just lost total traction and slid up there. Still able to carry the momentum. That is one thing about this racetrack. You can find different grooves. You can run the bottom.
Oh, 4 wide again.
Okay.
Josh. Josh. He thought better of it.
That fiery fired area in there on the outside. See, I was just saying about how you can run the outside lane. Didn't do it very well as he brushed the wall on exit, but he kept it going.
Did you see the net code with that wall? Like, he was about a foot off of it. You can see the smoke from it. Oh!
What I didn't see is somebody spinning out and going into the inside wall, which is a...
Boys, what's in the Wheaties today?
There's only 11 degrees of banking in turn 1 and 2 and 9 degrees in turn 3 and 4. So just like Loudon, not a lot of grip down there and not a lot of banking to throw the car in.
Well, believe it or not, it's actually higher banked than Loudon. Loudon, I believe, sits at 6 degrees in the corners. I think O'Rourke just knocked the wall down back there.
Yeah.
And by the way, due to insurance policies, my insurance company will not let me broadcast from the Porta-John on the backstretch. I'm trying to get it to happen, but they won't let me.
There's a Porta-John on, which track is it? I want to say Coda. that you use as a braking marker.
What? I've never heard this.
Step to the right, and go, oh, there it is. Step on the brake.
Oh my gosh, I'm at a crappy point to break.
And
Anyways,
it's really there. I
that's
remember watching the broadcast the following day, and I'm like, look, it's there.
good grief.
So they could really use it in the real world. The funny thing about this is there's not a lot of markers on the fence. So
Right.
most sim racers will pick a point at the fence. That's where they're going to start to apply the brake or shift or do whatever. In the gateway fencing, there's some sort of change, and I don't know if it's from a crossover gate, but there's an extra set of wires on the right-hand side for the poles, and that's one spot where you could pick, you know, different. You look for whatever marker you can. In the real racetrack, I think there's a 3-2-1, but in this old version, there isn't one.
The couple of things that I've had happen here at Gateway and a couple of times I've raced here is one, I have a tendency, and I think I shared this in last year's broadcast, I have a tendency when you go down the back straightaway, and I don't know if it's because of the way the lip of the wall is here when you come off turn 2, how the wall kind of angles in a little bit and then you shift down, or shift up to fourth gear here, but you have a tendency to almost drift to the left going down that straightaway. And I remember one race, it's like the only time I can think of where I actually had to serve a black flag for causing 2 incidents in a league, and it was one of their rules. And it was because I kept hooking the guy on the left because I thought I was going straight and I wasn't. It was at that moment I knew I needed better glasses. As Parker makes the pass here to the inside of Mons, who's fallen back to 13th here. So these guys, I think, starting to get into a rhythm here. They got the Rexies out of the way as here comes Kevin King looking inside of Tyler Dalton for third.
It was a high five coming off of turn 2 with the 30 of Macklin slapping into the side of the 15 car of Alan Wild that time. The two of them clacked wheels, so to speak, but everybody drove out of it.
Would that be a 0X or a 2X? Or a 4?
I think that's a 0X.
Zero? Okay, now again, I know we kind of explained that a little bit, but basically, ooh, that was almost bad. Tyler about got Kevin there. Basically, door banging into each other, you'll mostly get a 0X. If you go in there and, well, you just straight annihilate somebody with a contact to the door, you'll probably get a 4X, which is the highest incident points you can get when it comes to one specific deal. That's, if you get a 4X, you know you damaged the car somewhere.
So now that we've gotten through, knock on wood, a couple laps, things will start to space out. It'll be very conveyor belt. And what you're trying to do here is just hit your marks, get a good run, see if you can get a good drive off. And then from that standpoint, you're right on the back bumper. You want to outdrive the driver on the entry to the corner. You might end up being side by side with them going in to the corner and off an exit. But usually the bottom off of turn 4 can prevail if you can let the car roll through. As the two of Kelly and the 12 Scott Simley Exalta cars.
Dueling Exalta cars.
Kelly goes by to take over the position. And he'll tuck in now, try to chase down the 38 of Chad Coleman.
And the one thing about this track here, last year we brought up Donnie Leo winning this race, and we haven't seen anybody do it yet. And you got to wonder, as Kevin King goes to second now, when will we potentially see it here? But the way Donnie ran this track last year in 3 and 4, he went and almost drove over the curve on the inside of turn 3. You'll notice there's rumble strips on both corners. Let the car slide up the track almost, 3/4 of a groove, and then brought it back down to straighten off turn 4 in what they call a diamond. It's a big thing in like short track racing and that kind of deal. So, I mean, is that the way we do this tonight, you think, here? Because, I mean, here you watch Pedro driving in there, you watch Kevin driving in there, you see them kind of slide up a little bit, not too much of a diamond, but a little bit.
From what I saw conventionally, 2 lines are preferred. One, you just run right down along the white line, let off early, drive off from the center, try to pick up as much momentum, point it to the outside wall, and then when it straightens and squares up, you drive down the straightaway. The other is go in late, let it stay late, and then from the center turn down and extend the corner, drive off straight, and carry the momentum. Much in the way that Kevin did it, but here he's letting the car roll up a little bit.
And it
That's
seems,
the
yeah.
beauty of the flat track is that you can attack the corners in different ways. Some drivers drive in hard, standing on the brakes. And this is the type of track that rewards you not lifting out of the gas totally and slowly squeezing the brake as you go in. But other guys jam the brakes on, slow the car down, downshift to slow the car down. So there's a bunch of different methods. What we don't see or you can't tell from watching is how much shifting is going on.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's shifting. I've heard people actually talk a little bit about not even going to fifth gear, which I found kind of interesting. Ezekiel works on pit road, by the way. I've heard a couple drivers say that going down the straightaways, they stay at fourth gear, and if they even heard like the chip, the chip that
Stay
obviously
in
tells
it.
you to shift, they stay in it, and that's your point to tell you, hey, I need to brake at this point to go into the corner. Almost like an old school way, as Mons goes past Campbell here for position, like an old school way of driving, because a lot of the old school days when you got to the chip or something like that, usually you would at that point brake to enter a corner if you were racing at like a New Hampshire or something like that. In the old cup cars, we got a battle between red cars for the lead here.
Yeah,
King.
Kevin's right there on the bumper, sizing him up. He looks like a juicy steak as he's going to take the high line here, get some air on the front. Now he can turn it down on exit, and he's going to run right to the bumper. I wonder if he's going to take a peek coming down here in turn 3, thinks about it, and then drops in line as Pedro able to drive off a little bit, open the cushion. If we could do a spotter, it's like plus half, plus 1.5, turn in, low, bumper.
Door bumper clear.
That is very similar to what we were seeing there, so to speak, as they come off the corner. And every once in a while, somebody will miss a corner, and the other car will have the opportunity to make the pass. So we'll see how consistent Pedro can be as he tries to hold Kevin King at bay.
EJ O'Rourke off the pace, obviously, here as we look at David Comstock. He was just battling for a second ago with Bobby Wetzel, watching that battle here, watching Josh Parker, as we're seeing side-by-side battles throughout, with just the handling of these cars just falling off here. So you're starting to see comers and goers here that seem to have this track under wraps right now. That Frito's number 81 car looking pretty solid right now on that bottom side, looking to get around Mr. Coleman.
Pass for the lead. This is the 29 if Kevin King goes by. He got tucked underneath coming out of turn 4, got to run down the front straightaway. Cleared Pedro on the entry to 1, and now P1. Pole position, I don't know, that's what I always consider P1. Number 29, Mr. King. I went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame and saw a bunch of different things there, and of course some of those paint schemes that Kevin designed for Dale Earnhardt Jr. were on display. That's just kind of cool, thinking about that. Yeah, it took 25 laps, but Kevin King looks like he's on rails. This is the type of track that rewards you in running in the slip, Chris. And what I mean by that is you drive the car down, you let it slide up through the center, and then you pick up the gas. And if you can mash it, the car wants to come sideways. And you really have to, almost like a dirt track, turn right into it and let the car drift up off the corner. It takes laps and laps and laps and laps in order to get the feel of the car. But if you can do that, you're going to be fast here. And I could see Kevin just swing the back of the car out as he rolls off the corner, and he's just got it down to a science as he's driving away.
Yeah, there's something about this worn out surface. He's just got it down with the throttle control, the shifting, as you mentioned, and he's able to put it right down on that white line, and just seems to be in rhythm right now. And this is where you go back to, Pedro Mojica obviously hasn't run many races, and so he's trying to get himself back into a rhythm. But otherwise, he's doing a pretty good job keeping it up there with the driver of the 29. But let's go back here to the 14th position, because we got 4 cars under a blanket. Nelson Rivera, Glenn Campbell. Let's add a 5th car in there. Brian Macklin, Patrick Colby, and Robert Friery. All these guys battling back here for 14th.
Yeah, we're sitting right behind them is Anthony Calantoni. See a little damage perhaps to the back of that 84. I'm not sure that's from the first shot as he runs side by side with the 91 of Wesley Donaldson. Now everybody out in front of him, Macklin, the Colby and Campbell cars, Rivera with Priory the third, all single filed out here as they're contesting for that 13th position.
Yeah, it's just side by side. You see Friary slide up the track. Colby to the inside there. He's going to make the pass. Macklin trying to get in there too. You see the 91 back there behind him. Wesley Donaldson. Looks like that car's back fixed up again. So obviously Donaldson, it's been helter-skelter for him this season, either at Victory Lane in the top 3 or on the wrecker coming back to the garage area. And he's starting to get his season going now midway through this regular season. So obviously a little bit of a tough break there early in this race for that 91, but he's looking pretty solid right now, getting his way back into the top 20 and not giving up.
Yeah, that is the 44 of Campbell is looking like he's struggling just a little bit here. Not sure if he's comfortable with the grip that he has in that car. The car is not consistent for him. Tell you who is consistent is the 19 of Tyler Dalton running in 4th right now. How about it every race, it seems like, Chris? If he can stay out of trouble in the beginning, he just sits there and parks himself in the top 5.
No, you're absolutely right. He's had top 5 speed the whole entire time, but unfortunately, the finishes haven't come together for him. And he's been kind of, like I said, either on the wrecker or in the top 5 there at the end of the race. And unfortunately, when that happens, you have a season like that, you pay for it. And he had to, 33rd, 32nd in points at one point. And now he's almost up into the top 20 and into the playoffs right now and solidifying himself as a playoff driver. But obviously, you're going to get his season that. I mean, you look at Josh Parker last night. You know, I guess I motivated him a little bit. He had said that I told him he had not won a race in 2 years on the Xfinity side. So he says, "Watch this." He goes and wins a race last night. So
Watch.
and he literally said, "I motivated him." I'm like, "Well, anybody else need a motivation? Just let me know, and I'll come pep talk you. I mean, whatever you need, right?" But Chad Coleman running in the 9th position right now. Simley and Giles there, right on his bumper as they battle.
Tell you, the fastest car on the racetrack, lap after lap right now, is Adam Benfield. He's running in the 7th position, chasing the 2. You do get a smidge of a draft at this racetrack, and it does help you suck up and come in to challenge for the position in front of you. And sometimes you're better off to just wait for a lap or 2 until you get it kind of sorted out.
No, absolutely, and it can be tricky too as you get this draft, because you start to get that dirty air too on your nose as you carry the speed down here into turn 1, and then you got braking points here. You see Mike Kelly just kind of pulled over to let Benfield almost have the spot there and move him up to the 6th position. Mike using good racecraft there, knowing, hey, this 83 caught me from behind. You know what? He can have the spot. And
plus, you don't want to run side by side, right? Because that's going to make both of you slower. So sometimes better part of valor is to let the driver go, and then maybe you can follow them and pick up what they're doing to make speed. As we see him drift up in the center, turn down, the car is in the drift. As we talked about, you could see the car waving as it exited the corner. Whoa, that was not a snug entry there.
As we jump back here to this battle here for 24th, let's actually step away for a minute. We'll come back and get you more racing here. Sim500 and the NC811.org Cup Series here from Gateway as you're watching the Captain Esports Network.
This tree is going to look great here.
Did you call 811 to protect your underground utilities?
I can't wait to see these roses come up.
Dig, dig, dig! Wait, we forgot to call 811.
Before you dig, make sure you can. Call 811 to know what's below. It's up to all of us to protect the ones we love.
Back we are. Ooh, so contact here as we come back. Glenn Campbell, Charles Van Schaik, some 3-wide racing. Kevin Stone in there. There's Randy Yoakum also. Oh, and now Wetzel. Did we just have a brake check? Well, no, I'm saying between Wetzel and the 44. Look, I mean, we got the camera on right now from the spotter stand here where Mr. Atomic Burrito is watching and helping out Wesley Donaldson. But that looked like a brake check as Justin Mons is on pit road here That's awfully early for him. Yeah. I mean, it just looked like that from that view. I'm not saying he did, but let's go. Okay. So for Mons, a 43-second stop. So he must have had some damage on that car. As here comes Benefield to the inside of Tyler Dalton. This is the battle for the fourth position right here. And look at that Oreo ride of Jose Gonzalez, which of course is going to have my curious eyes going now on that car. One, because that's actually the first ever paint scheme I ran on iRacing was an Oreo car. Two, does Jose Gonzalez know what an Oreo is? I'm sure he does too, but again, I go back to the paint scheme he had about a year or two ago, and I asked him about what he knows about the I forget what candy it was, and he's like, actually, I'd never heard of it. I think it was Sweet Tarts or something. And I'm like, So that's why I throw those curious questions up with these paint schemes he runs. I'm like, does he know what this is? Does he know it? I mean, I'm waiting for the day he puts on a paint scheme that like is some bad terminology or something, and it's like, uh-oh. I don't think he realizes what's on his car. Yeah, right? Oh, let me... Yeah. But, either way, 41 laps complete here.
Gonzalez has been securely sitting there in that fifth position, and again, he's a long-run car. I say this all the time. Nobody manages it better in a long run than like Jose and Pedro. So the question is, will Pedro come back? I see he's not far off. Kevin has driven out to about 20 car length lead right now.
Yeah, not too
Pedro
far.
is running faster, a 36.47 to a 36.56. So Pedro's lap was faster that time by.
Ooh, Calantoni on the struggle busing up the track. Sorry. Calantoni's got some left rear damage, and that car is free falling.
I mean, that car got tagged, I think, in the opening salvo. One of those first two. The Giants got pinked in the nose there.
Unfortunately, Calantoni all the way back to 25th now, and he's getting this, I mean, been passed by Medina, by Jatina, by anybody else with the name Ina in it.
It sounds like a good, like, tropical drink, a Medina Jatina.
Is that like a mojito?
Yeah.
Does the mint come with it? Oh, hold on. Wetzel down there.
Oh, there's the slide.
Almost lost her off turn 2.
I'm pretty impressed with the fact that they've held sway pretty good. Kevin Stone having a decent run, running 22nd out in front of that stack.
Yeah, Kevin doing a pretty solid job here. 21st position. Got Jimmy Coleman there in front of him as they cross the start-finish line. 43 laps complete here. Obviously halfway, 65. And that's going to be pretty close to the number here.
21 of EJ is just dead slow going down the back straightaway. That car is probably 30 miles an hour. It looks like, do I do this? Natalie Decker riding around.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You had to go
there's
there.
anything wrong with that.
Well, here's where I'm going to go with this, because this is one thing I've noticed about this next-gen car. Anytime this car hits a wall that doesn't have a safer barrier to it, it seems to, like, quadruple the damage. I don't know why that is. What was it? Lucas Oil Raceway, I think it was?
Yeah.
United wasn't even the next-gen car, but it was another league I was broadcasting in the B car. I mean, you touch the inside wall and the engine grenaded. And here you got a similar situation. EJ goes down in that caution a little bit ago, hits the inside wall where there's no safer barrier, and all of a sudden his car is out here running as slow as me on a road course.
He's doing a modified Chastain. He goes in the corner, goes up, lets the car bounce off the wall in the center, and then turns it down. He's done it like the last 3 corners with the 21.
Making the straightaways as long as possible. Chad Coleman's coming to pit road. So maybe this is the window. I'm not sure
He's got to get down right
about
here.
that cone. Yep.
That cone is the line, 45 miles an hour.
Now, one thing you saw different this weekend, by the way, this Armco barrier right here is gone. Made pit road about 25 feet wider. The stairs are invisible. You can drive right through those. That's behind.
1,500-foot straightaway.
Longest pit road, by the way, when it comes to stalls in all of NASCAR. I believe it's right up there with Indianapolis.
It is a narrow.
It's narrow but long. 4 tires and fuel for the Ironman. As Coleman launches, 4 tires and fuel, 14.8.
Didn't see a lot of tire wear with this car. You could do 2 tires. He opted for 4, it looks like.
The thing I heard interesting on some drivers was that some of the tires that normally don't wear like certain ways were kind of matching up wear-wise. Like I heard one driver in particular say his right front was matching his left rear. Which was like, wait, what? Oh, hold on. There goes Alan Wild down there heading for something.
So one of the things we've not discussed, which is absolutely critical at this racetrack, is how to set up your brake bias.
Mm.
And I don't know the actual mystery to solve, to tell you the truth.
This is what I came up with, because we were talking about that pre-race. I was talking to a couple drivers, and here's what I kind of come up with. I know the teams have certain brake settings in real life that they can't touch. Well, one thing I do know is that they will bring big calipers and big rotors and stuff to the track here, especially at Gateway, because they know they're going to go down these long straightaways. They're going to stomp on the brake, turn left, and then go down the long straightaway again. The one thing I wonder with iRacing is there only one brake setting in this car when it comes to the size brakes or whatever? If it's just one specific brake pad that they're using at all the tracks, then you can almost argue that probably the brakes are too small for this track.
Well, you can adjust the master cylinder
Okay.
forward and back, and you can also adjust the brake bias as to how much
Oh,
it's
Fuller's in the wall.
will
right
come
on.
out of it.
He's going to drive out of it, but very slow, unfortunately. He was battling with Benefield, and I think just lost the back end there and kept it off of Benefield and put himself in the wall, and he's probably got a meatball, so he's coming to pit road.
Yeah.
I don't see too much. I don't see a broken wheel or anything. Well, that right front's towed pretty decent.
Yeah, I think he's done as fast as he
Yeah,
came across.
he's coming in hot on pit road.
Well, actually, he slowed down, so let's see.
Well, you know what? You do got well, then again, you'll still have to sit on pit road either way, but I don't know. We'll have to see Fuller on pit road here. We'll check back with him here. Overshooting the
shot
pit stall
is good.
here. Let's go look at when a bad night goes worse for you. Jose Gonzalez is under attack as Mike Kelly, 5th position here. Looking inside these two friendly rivals as Kelly is wrapping the bottom lane there. That's a different way of getting around here. And, drives right off the corner, and Jose lets him by. So move Kelly up to the 4th position. And as for the 51,
4 tires and fuel.
he's
Just-
gone. Yeah, 17-second
Might
stop.
take just a moment to get some damage fixed, but then he just plugged it away and he's off. So let's come back to brake bias and where that counts. When you stand on the brake, drivers have the opportunity in some of the rigs to change the way the foot pedal works on the mechanical, whatever you're using for brake.
Right.
There's springs and shocks and rubbers and whatever you have. You could set it up with a stiff pedal, or you could set it up with a spongy pedal or something in between. And that helps when you depress the brake as to how much brake you put in. So drivers sometimes with these tracks that require a lot of braking, set it up for a soft brake. So when they step on the brake pedal, they could really finesse how softly they apply the brake, and they might start soft and then step on the brake a little harder, or step on the brake hard and then slow. It's all in the foot,
Right.
so to speak, right? And then depending on how you set the brake bias up in the sim, it will stop the car quicker. Sometimes it locks up the wheels if you get it wrong. And what we saw, a lot of drivers set the brake bias wrong. They went down in the corner, it got the car stopped, but it drug the left front. And in the tire wear, where you were just talking about tire wear, we saw a lot of drivers talking about left side, left front tire, because they drag it on entry, wearing considerably. And then what that does on the long run, when you're going into the corner, the car just doesn't turn.
Right.
Similar to what we saw maybe the 44 experiencing. He just couldn't get the car to turn into the entry. And you really have to back up the corner, meaning slow down quicker and not run as hard down the straightaway in order to slow the car down so that it'll actually grip when you turn in and not just plow like a tractor.
So Scott Simley get passed by Josh Parker. That's a great way to explain it there. As now we look back here at the 10th position, Nelson Rivera right behind Parker, and Brian Macklin there in the 30 car. He's running a, I haven't caught this until now, but there's certain friends of mine that would be very happy about this. But notice where the number is on that 30. Right dead square in the middle. Yeah. Oh, caution on the track. Caution. Wesley Donaldson has spun over in turn 1. The hometown driver here, well, quasi-hometown. He's from the area. Unfortunately, he's having nightmares back to last year where he wrecked out of this race and spins, brings out the caution at lap 57 after nearly a 45 or 50 lap run. And I think Patrick Colby also got some contact or something here.
What if that had to do with his entry? He came in with the left side on the seam.
Maybe.
I don't know if you noticed, but the car just did not turn in. And that's part of what I had talked about earlier, Chris, about the evilness of this racetrack. You could drive it in the same way you think, headspace, 20 times, and the 21st time the car does that. You're like,
that
what,
looks
what
like
the heck did I do?
that looks like one of those like lazy road course spins where like you're driving it just too fast on entry. So you wonder maybe did he not apply enough brake pedal into the corner? I mean, point. Maybe.
I did that the other day, and when I didn't spin, I caught the car. But what I ended up doing was my foot pedal setup slid when I stepped on the brake. It slid underneath the desk.
I've done that before.
Right? I don't have it really well secured, and every once in a while when I go to stomp the brake, it slides across the floor.
So I got 2 simple fixes to that, by the way, that I've done, because I had this issue before too. Especially even if you have carpet, it can be very tough. You see King outrun Mohican pit road here.
I was watching Pedro just before that caution. He was coming.
Yeah, he was making time up slowly.
He was closing down at the end of the run. He probably did not want to see this caution.
So all the cars in the lead lap come to pit road here at lap number 57. Caution out for the 3rd time here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Let's step away, and we'll come back and we'll explain our floor settings, and I'll show you, or I can't really show you, but I'll tell you what I do to help keep my pedals still. But you're watching the Captain Esports Network. There's anything you can do.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC811 app. Know what's below. Before you dig, visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, a.k.a. Gateway. Want to remind you real quickly while we're on the caution, if you're looking for a set of gloves or shoes to upgrade for your racing experience, check out 4dracewear.com, where you can get shoes and gloves. As a matter of fact, I wore 4D shoes right before this broadcast. This is not a joke. I'll hide proof. To a Indy Oval fixed win at Indianapolis in the last split before the switch over to week 13.
Nice.
So You can do the same thing. Go check out your shoes and gloves there at 40racewear.com. All right, Kev. Explain your setting. Down on the floor, we're talking about the pedals. Obviously, you've had that sliding issue. I've had it before. What is there anything you've done down there to try to solidify, I guess, your ground to make sure it doesn't have any issues like that?
My pedals are sitting on a plywood floor, and
Okay.
if I take a book and put it behind, then it hits the book and it stops it.
A book?
But a book, I know it sounds strange, but
Right.
the distance between the back of the pedal set and the wall is about a book's worth.
My previous place, I've used shoes. I've actually used socks before as a set as to keep it against the wall, because I actually have a board on this desk that sits about a foot off the ground, and if my brake pedal gets under it, it'll actually catch on it. So what I've actually done is I have a board that you could, like, for trophies or whatever, that like nails into the wall. I actually have that board sitting against my wall, so it pushes out to where my pedals stop at that point, to where it won't get to that part of the desk. So
Yeah, so note to self, whatever your setup is, if you're in one of those rigs, then you won't have this problem. But if you're on a flat floor table, like some of us are,
Mhm.
then you should put something behind it to keep it from going. As the pace car turns left, he's going to turn the field over to King, Mojica, Gonzalez, Kelly, Dalton, Simline, Rivera, Parker, and Giles, along with Adam Benfield, round out your top 10. They streak off to turn one. Got to watch this stack up as a couple bangs in the back of the pack here as drivers trying to get through. Let's see how we do on the exit of turn 2. Looks clean and green to me as they streak down the back straightaway. Kevin King holds them at bay.
I think this is a great opportunity as we're just shy of halfway. Let's turn it up for the fans and let you enjoy the music and the sound of these next-gen cars. Couple cars almost losing it there as we... Oh, and there goes Jatina, about went for the infield there, but 64 laps complete. Kevin King, 0.6 of a second lead. As we were just talking a little bit off the air about the lap times here. Obviously a lot slower than what you saw in real life, and we kind of explained that. Hello, by the way, Mr. Bully Dog Coffee Company. The biggest difference here in this track, this is the old surface again from a few years ago, where they've been racing on a newer surface at Gateway for a couple of years, and we're going to update this. But either way, we're stuck with what we got here as we watch this battle between the 81 of Josh Parker and the 12 of Scott Simley's. Caution. Mark Schrader is, he was heading for the John.
He's in a gap. That's unusual to get up in there.
Spins around that Red Bull number 35 and brings out the caution. Let's see what happens here.
I wonder if he had a little help. I know he got a little moment there with the car in front of him against the wall.
And he got loose there, and then he gets helped out by somebody. Oh, and he hits the inside wall over near the. Now I see why the insurance company doesn't want me over there.
Yeah. The 51 got into the wall, and I think he just jerked the car left. And when he jerked it left, it did one of those loop-de-loops. It says Walgreens on the front nose of that car. I think he's going to go in and get some headache powder.
Goodies.
Watch the 51 come off. The car takes a slide, hits the wall, and he drags it left. And then when he goes around, he gets tagged by the 96 of Gerald Livingston.
Nice job by Medina to shoot the gap there and miss that. That could have been really bad.
That left rear damage on that car is not going to help him.
So interesting. A couple times at my job delivering packages for FedEx, I have found myself delivering to Red Bull. There's a office here in Fort Wayne, right off the interstate there, and I walk into they're like, deliver all packages to the back, so I go around back, and I walk in, and there sits a warehouse full of cans of Red Bull. It's so weird, because you walk in a warehouse, you picture, like, the big boxes of whatever, but here you walk in there, and you just see Red Bulls everywhere. It's like the Red Bull Taj Mahal. And of course, you walk in and they're like, "Here, have a Red Bull." I'm like, "Do I have a choice?"
That people are going to think I'm an alien or something. I've never had a Red Bull.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people don't like energy drinks or have never tried one. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's plenty of drinks out there I've never tried. I won't judge
35 on pit road, 4 tires and fuel. I'm sure they'll be banging out that left side.
Kevin King leading this race. Let's you know what? Let's talk to Pedro while we have. Are we one to go here? Or are we 2 to go? I see the lights still on there. So 2 to go. Let's go get our buddy, the Texas driver. Who, by the way, thoughts and prayers to everybody out in Texas and in the Midwest. Those people from Texas up to Iowa and stuff have just been getting thumped by thunderstorms and tornadoes and all that type of stuff. So obviously thoughts and prayers with those people there as Pedro Mojica runs into second position, and you knew it was going to be a matter of time before I brought you up here. We didn't talk yesterday at all. So I was like, you know what, let's get Pedro up here tonight as he's returned for the week. You're running second right now with Kevin, and the track out there looks pretty treacherous.
Yeah, Chris, it is pretty treacherous. It's tough. It's really hard out there. You pretty much want to just race the racetrack, honestly. So, yeah, it's good to be back though, man. It's been a while, so I figured, jump in here and try to race and see what I could give Kevin. He's
Right.
been beating up on these boys pretty bad. So, but Kevin's really good, man. So, that was kind of another reason I wanted to kind of get back in, just because, Kevin gets the best out of you. So.
Talk about what you've learned so far, because I know you had to make some adjustments there, and a little bit there during that long run, you actually started to make way on Kevin a little bit.
I think it's just diamonding the corner, certain ways that he was running, that when he got her by me, that I just been trying to mimic. But yeah, I mean, we were able to hold on there for a good bit. Once we got to lap traffic, though, I struggled more than he did, so I got to figure that part out. But yeah, so far so good. I'm not letting them get too far, but we'll see how this goes. If we get a long run to the end, there's a couple guys that were really rolling there at the end of that run before that yellow came out.
There you go, man. Hey, it's good to see you back at the track. All the best to the family. I know the weather has not been pretty in Texas there, so all the best to you guys, and we shall hopefully see you soon.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
You too, buddy. Pedro Mojica, obviously running second right now, and good to see him back here on the track. Send him back. Interesting. And I think what he's talking about Mike Kelly. I think he's talking about Jose Gonzalez here. The guys who have kind of been saving their tires a little bit out here, maybe not chirping them too much and getting too much wear out of them. And that's who you see starting to make those runs in the long run here. The problem is, I don't know. I mean, we could get a long run out of this, but how long's a long run? I guess we're going to find out, aren't we?
Well, we were almost there. I think you could run 68 laps, on a tank of fuel. So,
Well, green flag back out as Dalton slides up into Parker, gets turned. Look out, everybody.
Everybody's going to avoid him.
How about that?
Angle in the back there, but wow, they were 4 or 5 wide as they went through.
Tyler Dalton unfortunately just loses the nose and slides up into Parker. And I will tell you this, that one corner is not a long run.
Wow. Uncharacteristic of Tyler. I'm sure he's going to be disappointed with himself on that.
That, you know what, that at the
all
same
that track position he gave up.
That at the same time, Kev, I think right there tells you how treacherous this track is. When you have a driver that has that kind of experience and skill in this sim and you know, knows the ins and outs of it, to go into the corner like this, you see him little bobble right there and slides up the track.
I think he would have been okay if he didn't make that incidental contact. It's the secondary contact that turned the car sideways, and he is absolutely fortunate at running what, in 5th, 6th, getting turned sideways, and the entire field's bearing down in turn 1. And I think just simply because everybody wasn't fully up to speed.
I think there's another factor in there too. Another factor in there, Kev, and this is something that I've been seeing a lot in official races. Right there, look how you see how you had to correct the wheel there for a second. The one thing that I'm seeing a lot more of, and I'm gonna call it here for a second, how he locked the car down. You're seeing a lot of guys getting out there in these official sessions. They're getting out there spinning, and then they're just, you know, throwing their hands in the air and saying, "Oh, screw it," and letting the car roll around, and you become a moving chicane or a moving wall or whatever, and you start getting glued by people. Dalton spun. He didn't panic. He locked the car down. Everybody knew where he was going to be and went right on around.
You know, what I saw on entry there is everybody else kind of moved up to the fence. He stayed a little low. He turned in on the gray area and came across that lower strip down on the bottom, and the car got unsettled. And I think he probably would have been okay, but he was still working on braking. You see here, he's following in the footsteps, and he jukes a little bit left right at the start-finish line.
Yep, right there.
Right here. And his shallow entry turning in, coming across that strike, the car went sideways and then just getting pinched down there.
I almost wonder if he did that to, one, get some air on his nose, but two, to also see his mark where he was going to brake at. Because maybe there was somewhere on the track he was looking for, and with Jose being so close in front of him, he wanted to be able to see it. And that can be tricky sometimes in these cars, is if you're using a mark on the track, or if it's a porta-john or you know, whatever, you know, it's hard to find sometimes when you're close to cars. You know, and how easy it is to overbrake a car.
26 in front of him was lower on the track on entry, but I think it's just the shallow entry, like the straight entry from down low that he made, that put too much stress and overwhelmed the grip of the tires as he went in. And just that little tiny bobble let the car wash up off the racetrack. And we'll come back to, I 100% agree with you about locking it down. Even when the cars, you know, the funny thing is, this racetrack, it takes forever to go around the racetrack. So if you spin and you're sitting up against the wall, wait till the entire field goes by.
Right. I agree.
And then let off the brake and let it roll. People are like, I'm going to get lapped. No, you're not.
Somebody who knows, probably knows that knowledge too from being on iRacing for a while, Mr. Adam Benfield, who I've brought up here in the booth in the 83 car. Adam, you've looked pretty solid here this afternoon. I mean, you've worked your way up through the field, and just talk a little bit about the track itself here, because I've already had one driver tell me in the booth it's been treacherous. Same for you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to focus on driving the track, not everybody else, kind of saving the tires and not slide them so much. That's the biggest key. It's so hot. Really, that's about it. We had a driver error on the pit stop there and slid through the box and lost all the track position that we had gained. So hoping we get a long green flag run here and we get back up there.
Yeah, running in 10th right now. How important is it for you to be patient with the throttle, especially off of like turn 2, when you're down, you're using third gear through that corner, maybe even through 3 and 4, to wait to get to the straightaway before you're full throttle because you don't want to chirp the tires?
It's really important. So kind of the veteran guys kind of fits like right into my style, really mine and Kevin, and you can see the cream rising to the top.
Right.
How we have to drive it back in the day with all the horsepower, it's kind of the same feel. You start buzzing tires, get them hot, and they'll get mad.
All right, buddy. We'll let you go. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, bud.
Adam Benfield running in the 10th position as we come to the green. His teammate Kevin King in the lead. And I think he brought up a good point there. Chirping the tires. And what I mean by that is just simple wheel spin. It's just a racing slang, I guess, if you will, for spinning the tires. As King gets a good restart down to turn 1. And I think that's what Mike Kelly's doing by running this bottom lane like he's been doing, is it keeps him from being, he has to be patient rolling the throttle. Everybody in a pack here. As we're past the halfway point, 75 laps in the books, and up the track goes Jose Gonzalez along with the 30 of Macklin. And that's going to set them back. Here goes Parker. There goes Nelson Rivera. There goes Cody Giles. And you guys cannot yell at me at this one. I think Kevin actually has himself muted. He doesn't know.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I was checking.
I was, and now I'm better. So we got one around. It is, whoa.
Kevin Stone.
Kevin Stone just broke loose on him out of turn 2.
And O'Rourke, I think, got some damage because he has decided to pull off the track there. As Luke 1, 2, 3, 4 put a pretty bold statement there in chat there with the old NR 2003 greater than iRacing. Hot take. Hot take. As caution is out. I'll say this. NR 2003 is a fantastic sim. I'll say that.
Yeah. That's turn 2 for you.
Yep.
They talk about the monster. This track notorious for turn 2 problems.
You know what though? Same thing again to the inside of a car. Started to slide up the track, and I wonder if he put too much wheel into it. And I saw obviously Yoakum finishing him off.
That left rear sitting on that stripe down there.
That's, I mean, another fair point.
On exit, yeah.
So it's almost like, did he hit Charles there for a second?
He washed up there in the middle, and then
Yeah.
I think when he started to turn left and stepped on the gas, he had ultimate grip.
Wortman
Lack
just
of
stops.
Yeah.
Kevin Brown asking how the racing is tonight. It's treacherous. But let's ask Kevin Brown how last night's race was. Kevin, how was last night's race? There's a joke there. And we'll wait for him to respond on that one. He'll probably cuss me out. Anyways, and I'll wait for him to see if he answers before I say why I asked that question last night. So Kevin Stone brings out the caution here at lap 78.
Should be helpful for the 19 car. Each of these cautions give him an opportunity to make a couple passes. Harder to pass when everybody's strung out. Yeah, he got it.
He said, "You're hilarious, brother," from Kevin DeBrown. He was the first caution last night on lap 1. So, sorry. Michigan last night, you could tell that the guys had a little bit of a... You take, 3 weeks off because you had the All-Star break, you had Mother's Day, and then you had Memorial Day, so they didn't race for a month in the Xfinity car, and they show up last night at Michigan, and it took them a few minutes and a few laps of caution to get them straight a little bit before they had a fantastic finish at the end. 7 cars within... They had a 3 wide to the lead, or for the lead coming to the line, and then 4 wide behind them for 4th. Pretty impressive.
Michigan always play a little taps. Fontana, the racing at both of those racetracks.
Texas World Speedway. I mean,
that place was amazing. I can't say that I remember watching any races there, but just to see the race.
Texas World Speedway or Fontana?
Yeah. Texas.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen really a race there either.
I've only seen footage of racing.
Exactly,
there.
and it looks. I mean, I know Greg Biffle did a test there about 20 years ago, and I think he said he was running speeds of like 220 miles an hour down into the corners.
Yeah.
So I mean, the track had speed, but just
it was huge. That like this is apparently one of the biggest racetrack venues, gateway, of any racetrack.
Yeah, it was 2-mile track, I think it was. If I remember, it was right around the same size as Michigan, I think. World Speedway was. Okay. Kevin Brown saying, wish he'd have made it here tonight. Unfortunately, Amazon had other ideas for him. Well, no comment.
I'm curious what's going through the mind of Kevin King right now. He picked up the lead on lap 25. We're working lap 79 of 130, and he's been out front, but on some of those long runs, which I think we're going to line up to get another one, he has to be nervous because some of these guys were running him down. So is he trying to calculate a different way to change? Or is he expecting that we'll see what I think is going to be probably pretty predictable, a bunch of different cautions here, which will shorten the long run.
Well, I think
I don't know. It's hard to tell. He's got the 81 behind him. He knows the 81's not going to be soft on charging.
I think one thing I know it's probably in his mind is he's always been one not to be afraid to be vocal here when we've talked to him after races about cautions. So he's probably getting frustrated about that, but he can't let that bother him. He's going to get out here and just log laps.
You get a pass here, right? Yeah. This track is so technically difficult that even the good guys, we just saw Tyler Dalton spin. I mean, it's just a typical track.
Kevin gets clear of Pedro as Rivera thought about 3 wide there behind Mike Kelly.
Just about everybody has a moment at this place, somewhere in the race. That would be an interesting question to ask our top 3. Did you have a moment where you went, oh boy, and then you drove out of it?
Yeah, it's pretty hard in this car to drive out of anything like that, but yeah, it's been trickier tonight. The word treacherous is probably our drinking word for those drinking water tonight.
It's unusual because you feel like this should be an easy racetrack to drive. It's 2 drag strips and 2 corners.
Well, you got the drag strips are pretty long straightaways, and then the corners are like a short track at Martinsville. And that could be pretty tough when you're going down, what, 165 miles an hour down into turn 3, which is more of the sweeper, but then you're going 100 and close to 65 to 70 down in, oh, you see Chad Coleman lock up the left front right there. He's up the track with Van Schuyck.
Every lap, the lap before the 8 was the car that had.
And now Calatoni gets crossed up. I think he got help from Coleman there a little bit there, so unfortunate there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, every corner you see somebody who's in trouble, and hopefully they can just keep gathering the car up and we'll stay under green. But
looks like the biggest loser on that restart's that Oreo 26 car, Jose Gonzalez, P3 on the restart. He's back to P9.
That's hard at the end of the race to pick up that track position. As Beasley running in 10th, just keeping his nose clean in the tied ride.
You beat me to it. Yeah, keep it clean and running 11th. Was up there in the top 10 when we were on track a couple weeks ago at Charlotte before having some issues in the race. But Beasley quietly top 10 in the points, having a great season in that 10 car. A lot of people say he's that super speedway specialist, but he's out there. You know what he's doing? He's driving like that guy that used to drive that Tide ride right there in that 10 car. The old Rooster, the future Hall of Famer Ricky Rudd. You know, he wasn't ever that.
Off of turn 4, been able to gather it up. We lost a lot of track position.
Ricky was never one of those. Ricky's never been one of those drivers that was. He wasn't that guy that shined. He wasn't that guy that went out there and put up 5, 6, 7 wins a season. But he put the car in the right place 99% of the time and did what he had to do to go win a race. And of course, the story everybody thinks about is, 1984, the Busch Clash. He goes and flips the car at Daytona, and they have to tape his eyes open at Richmond because they're swelled shut. And he goes out and wins that race.
There's one around on the front straightaway. The 51 locks it down.
Saves it.
I don't know how he saved it. Anybody else would have taken that to the fence. That was a tilt-a-whirl moment there.
Great save by Fuller. I mean, he was gone and then straightened it back out.
Talk about Ricky Rudd. I always remember him running where they go next week. Sears Point, Sonoma Raceway. Just stellar road racer. Doesn't get enough credit for some of that stuff that he did early in the season.
Of course,
It's got to concern these drivers when they come off turn 4 and see the smoke from the 51.
Yeah, we're gonna watch this replay. Yeah, you talk about Ricky Rudd there. His, of course, he had that race back in the first race ever at Sonoma, where he turned Rusty Wallace, or it might have been the other way around. I think it was, yeah, he turned Rusty Wallace, and they actually gave the win to Rusty or something like that in the end. And then, of course, he had to. That wasn't the lap apparently where Fuller went around, but anyways. The race where was it Jerry Nadeau, I think, was leading in the 44 car for Petty, and lost a gear in with 4 laps to go and gave the win to Rudd.
I just remember the Havilland car being super fast every time they went there.
Yeah.
So Josh Parker sitting there in third, just kind of riding. Cody Giles doing an outstanding job. You know, Cody's had some really strong runs this year, but nothing on the stat sheet to show for it. But certainly when he puts it together, he's going to figure out top 5s all day long. And how about Brian Macklin sitting there in 5th? Brian had that moment right in the beginning of the race, and I would have thought you'd have stuck a fork in him. But we talked about the cars being able to run with damage, and Macklin's put it all back together to a top 5 run right here in late going.
Yeah, he's doing a real good job, Macklin is. And I want to go back to Cody for a second. I know I've harped on this a couple of times. This guy was sitting up near the top in points. I think he was second at one point.
He was leading
points.
The
was he leading the points? Okay, I was trying to remember if he was first or second after about 5 races, 6 races. And then all of a sudden, he has fallen off a cliff. And unfortunately, he's had the rookie struggles, if you will, in this series. And a lot of it, you could easily say, was not his doing. Getting involved in accidents and things like that, or just having rough runs. I know he missed a race too. But here he is running 4th. And where he is in points right now is not a result of where he's running. Put it like that. It's definitely where he's running. That's been up here at the front. It's just unfortunately not able to finish the races at times. And here he is looking to put a top 5 run together for that Ancient World Gaming team.
Yeah, Kevin King stretched out a little over Pedro, but every lap it kind of flip-flops. 35.243 to a 35.146 for Pedro, fastest lap that time of anybody. Pedro is not letting Kevin get away, and the 3rd and 4th cars are keeping pace with him. They know these laps click off pretty quickly here when things get single filed out. As long as nobody turns sideways over in treacherous 2, these guys cannot let Kevin get away if they're going to want to have a shot at this.
Did you know, Kevin, that this is not the only racetrack in the St. Louis area that people race at?
There's a yellow.
Caution out for Kevin Stone. Kind of a trick question here, probably.
Well, there is a drag strip at this racetrack.
There is.
But
There is.
that's not what you're talking about.
No. If you go back to December, right before they run the Chili Bowl and stuff, they actually run a quarter midget event at the Edward Jones Dome in downtown, which is the old football stadium. They sure do. I think actually Kyle Busch ran in it this year, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, he just got loose on entry there, and he's swatting flies, about takes out the 35 and puts it in the wall hard.
That's a hard crunch.
Yeah.
That Black Horse Mustang got shortened to the front wheels there in that shot.
Watch this one again on board the 17 helmet cam. See him 4th gear all the way up there to turn 3. You're not seeing these guys use 5th gear at all. He's just loose from the start, trying to hold on. Trying to hold on. Yeah, boy. Finally it grips.
Yeah, I think when you're in that slide, you should just start lightly applying the brakes to see if you can get the car out of the slide. He was just kind of riding it, hoping he was going to drive out of it, and it never caught up as everybody coming to pit road.
Not everybody. A couple cars staying out. Chad Coleman, Justin Fuller staying out.
This should be interesting to see the pit road exit as to who's going to get off first. I'd imagine it would be 4 tires and fuel, but maybe 2 tires?
I would expect
A la Dalton?
4, I think, at this point. Still got too many. I mean, if you get to lap 120, well, I don't know. I think it's a tricky spot here. I think track position is going to play a role here. Kevin King, 4 tires and fuel. It looks like everybody 4 in fuel.
Well, he put
You
4
are
in.
right, though. Dalton did do 2. 9.6.
There you go. Yeah. He was looking for that track position after the spin to see if he can get himself back up to be a player. Yeah.
There you go. Well done, Mr. England. Well done. All right, let's step away real quick. Let's hear from our sponsor, 811. Come back and get you more racing as we have a little less than 40 laps to go from Worldwide Technology Raceway as you're watching the Captain Esports Network.
What a nice day to install my new mailbox.
Hi there, friend. I'm Dig Safely Man. My job is to ensure you call 811 before you dig.
Why do I need to do that?
Vital utilities like natural gas and electric run just beneath the Earth's surface. Damaging them can cause service interruption, environmental hazards, or personal injury.
I thought only contractors had to call before they dig, so homeowners do too.
Call 3 business days before you dig unless you have X-ray vision. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right,
What's
back we
wrong?
are here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway Motorsports Park, the Sim500 NC811.org Cup Series season. And Kevin, what are you doing tomorrow night?
Run in Talladega.
That sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? The Sim500 WBD Diecast Super Speedway Series Segment 2. And this is one of those where you can go camp out at Talladega and you don't have to leave. All 12 races at Talladega Super Speedway on the schedule. I know it's when you're watching this, you're like, wait, what? That's going to be boring. No. Here's the fun part.
No.
Trucks tomorrow night. Then it's the Xfinity, or no, I'm sorry, that's the 87s on week 2. Week 3, the next gen cars. Then I see I think it's the Gen 6 car. I mean, all different types of cars each week. Sponsored by, of course, WBD Diecast. You can sign up for the series right now. Go to sim500.com. And you click the series registration once you click on the WBD ICAST Super Speedway Series on that page right now. Fixed setup and 100% fuel, 2 sets of tires, and it's literally a 100-mile race. So tires really aren't going to matter much in most of those cars. Of course, Wednesday night, the Trans-Service Truck Series, and then the Midnight Thunder Series that goes on Friday nights. So whole ton of racing going on at sim500.com.
Lights are out on the pace car, and we have a new dynamic with somebody else leading the race for a change. This is going to be fascinating with Coleman and Fuller on the front row. Fuller was just in the fence not too long ago. I wonder if changing the tires got anything to do with it. But
these two pitted at lap 66 last time on pit road. So bold strategy, Cotton, here as we go green. Red cars pushing each other as Coleman, with help from Mohican, that's why he took the outside lane, by the way, with help from Mohica, as they go into turn 1 and
they're 3 wide there.
Oh, getting tight.
This is
And around goes Semi Kelly. Yes, it is. And he's coming back on the track. Everybody slows up.
Yellow.
Caution back out. Joey Giattino with damage. In the 14, there's the 41 of Mons.
This is going to be interesting because Pedro got to second, and I think King was 4th, which means Pedro will start on the outside with the fresh tires. And King is going to be behind him. King has not been behind Pedro for whatever part of this race, and now it's kind of Pedro's to hold everybody at bay. This was a tight moment here. I thought Kevin was going to put 3 wide as
Kelly just lost the back end, noses into the wall. And you saw Tyler kind of gas it up mid-corner there And you see Joey get spun around here. Let's go crash cam on this, because this was kind of tricky. Because you saw, like I said, Tyler kind of gasses up mid-corner here. And he's going to get a run to the outside of the 81 here. They're all 2 and 3 wide here. Right here, you see there's where he gasses up. And Kelly just gets up there and maybe the marbles a little bit. Adam Benfield center punches him, sends him into the inside wall. You see up top there, you see Friery and Scott Simley also had issues. And I think that's where the wreck with Jatina happened. So both the Exalta cars at Exalta at the same time. Exactly. Have issues.
Jatina's car is killed. It's wrecked on the front and the back.
Oh no, tough break for that.
Can't even
Chesterton
reach Chesterton on the back of the car.
Yeah, Wesley Donaldson gets in the back of the 12, and you see Coleman, and they just pile in.
Yeah, that was just a stack up. There's really not much you can do when you're in there playing ping pong.
Right.
Somebody got the nose torn off. Who was it down there on the bottom? The 17 of Kevin Stone got clobbered.
More damage for him
on the road course. No, he's the one that tagged the. Okay, that makes sense. He tagged.
Oh.
Joey Tina.
And then was that Fuller back there that got clobbered? I see a blue car back there that got turned. No, it wasn't Fuller. Fuller's third.
That was a little bit of something of everything there.
Pretty much. Somebody in a blue car got tagged.
That was Mons, I believe.
Was it Mons? Okay.
Did a little pirouetta. Pirouetta.
On board with Anthony Calantoni here, as he has had his struggle bus out here tonight. You see all the smoke here. There's somebody on the inside. Here's to check up.
Check up on the inside. He did a good hands move there. Come left and clear that. Sometimes you don't move far enough left. I try to go as far left as I could possibly yank the thing without spinning it out, because you never know how far someone's going to bounce off the outside wall.
Right with Mons now down to turn 1.
Be fun. Motion sickness pill, everybody. He's about to go for a tilt-a-whirl.
Hey, you don't see him checking up, and all of a sudden, bam, there it is. And,
yeah.
Oh, bam, and that's where he gets drilled by Stone and goes for wee.
All the way home. That was quite the melee back there. As you see the 17 sitting down there on the road course.
So, how many cars were Fugazi'd in that?
I want to say I saw 6 or 7.
For those who haven't been keeping track of Harvick's, I think it's actually kind of cool he's doing this. He's throwing out the slang words that he gets from his podcast. Yeah. Fugazi. Has Mike Joy and Boyer like, what?
Boyer is he is just so entertaining sometimes.
It's like Harvick and his dry sense of humor, and all of a sudden he just comes out with a word. It's like you get that look where the dog that's all confused because you're trying to talk to the dog and turns his head sideways. That was quite the kerfuffle.
Was that caution 7? 8? Trying to keep track, and I'm not sure that I have it right. I'll pull up my stat.
My Floridian math does not count that high. Well, you wonder.
Okay, that was 8 cautions.
So 8 cautions were right near our average in the 2 races so far, but you got to wonder now, the more these cautions happen potentially, does this kind of plant the seed or make the bet, if you will, for Coleman and Fuller to stay out the rest of the way here? Which I don't know if I'm going to be happy about that if I'm Coleman or Fuller with these older tires. But here we go. 28 laps to go.
96 of Gerald Livingston gets a shot going down the front straightaway, and he's turned sideways.
Caution back out.
Wow, they just...
Schrader, Livingston.
Schrader killed it.
Yeah, that car's broken. That is a crushed can of Red Bull right there, boys.
Yeah, that started about the start-finish line. He got a bump. Whoever was behind him. Oh, Mons is behind him. I don't know if he missed a gear, but the car just turned left. It almost looked like she downshifted incorrectly on the entry. He gets a bump right here. And then he finally gets going. And then right here, I think downshifting, the car just turns left. Quarter panel D.
That looks like a money shift.
Yeah.
But I don't see smoke either, so I don't know. But that, like, usually when you see a car spontaneously spin like that, that's when you've gone through too many gears. Let's go on board with Gerald. And let's see. He's in second gear right now, traditional starting gear. Unless you're on like a short track. Up to third, no problem. Gets the bump from Mons.
Should come to fourth.
He's still in third.
Still in third. When he
Oh,
downshifted,
bam, bam.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in first gear right there. There's your money shift.
No, what ended up happening is he thought he lost track of shifting from getting bumped. He was distracted. Normally you jump up to fourth at the start-finish line. You can run third all the way down. You'll be in the chip on the entry to the corner. And then you just leave it there. He probably lost track of it and thought he was going to downshift to third. And he actually went to second and then first.
So you wonder if the motor's okay there. I mean, I don't see any smoke out of the car. So, I mean, did it blow the motor? I mean, the motor was still running, so he might have gotten lucky with that. But that's, I mean, that's what will turn that car sideways. You get, you saw it, I think it was Joe Hudson in a race earlier this season. You had it with a couple others. You get to a track like this, and you just...
Yeah, I wonder if this distracted him, the tap from the back. Well, this should be vicious.
Sorry, jump back to the one to go to the transmission.
Yeah, that right-hand turn on the entry of the corner is never a good one.
No, never.
Even in sim racing, you have that moment of like, oh, this is going to hurt.
Here we go from Schrader this time. We'll watch the full view this time.
Especially when you don't expect it, right? You see nothing at your right side. You go to do the entry of the corner. You just start to get the brake. Oh. That's a hit.
Yeah, that car's broke. I mean, you go back to earlier in the season at Daytona where Ryan Blaney in the dual race got turned like that. And, I mean, he literally said, like, those are some of the worst licks in the world for him to take. And he said he was getting tired of getting right reared by people.
Yeah.
So Chad Coleman up here at the front, 25 to go. Still got 2 to go before we get the green flag here. And dare I try to talk to the Iron Man here? This ought to be good. So, Mr. Coleman, you there, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. The obvious question here was, did you and Fuller do this move expecting cautions to break out here? Or was this like, hey, we'll have a set of tires for later to use if we get a caution?
Uh-huh.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's great.
How treacherous has it been out there?
Dude, we were back there, and we were dodging some stuff, and then it's hard back there because everybody's got very different braking points. And I about cleaned out Van Schaik one time locking up, trying not to run over the guy in front of me. It's crazy. So then we stayed out, and I was like, well, if we get a 15-lap run, come in, put on tires, and see how far we get back up through here. Well, they keep doing this. I'll be fine with that too.
Well, we saw that left front lockup. Don't you guys have a term for that in the garage?
It's called shit setup.
That's another way of calling it, I guess.
I ran 40 different master cylinder combinations trying to fix that, and
good grief,
braking, like they're in different brake biases. I can't figure it out. There's some people that have, like Kevin King, Mike Kelly, a bunch of those guys can send it. I can't do it. I have to back my corner way up.
Well, you better send it here. You're leading right now with 25 to go. Good luck.
Oh, it ain't hanging on. I'm just wasting space.
Never, my man, never. Is Kevin King there behind the 30 car? Brian Macklin there as Chad Coleman leads this race. Pedro Mojica there second. Macklin, Fuller, and as mentioned, King As we come to the green, I think Coleman answered the question for me. With just that simple,
yeah.
He's not afraid to speak his mind. Now, there's another term for that, by the way, when you run.
There's
Oh,
the
around
30.
goes Macklin. Oh, ouch.
That's a hit. I think that's going to be
Escape button
green.
right there.
So he stays down there, and he took a tow, so he's going to prevent it. Caution. Well, look at this run to the outside. Here comes Kevin King. Got around all of them on the outside lane and is now going to chase down Chad Coleman. And let's go back to his comments about the braking points. If you can get the brake bias set correctly, wow, Parker, King.
King sent it in. Oh, one car back there getting loose real quickly. King sent it into turn one, and he was trying to diamond it. Parker sent it in deep and filled the gap and kept him from sliding back down with the diamond. But continue.
Yeah, Parker wants to run him up the racetrack here,
Right.
so he can get the drive off.
Tyler's in the grass.
And 58 was trying to push the 81 through. And Kevin, his entry is like a monster.
Tyler Dalton, tough break for him. He went through the grass, and they
are
are
off of each other here. Holy
This is
cow.
not the first time. Patrick Colby goes around.
Yellow.
Jimmy Coleman with some damage. Randy Yoakum, and Mons once again loses his nose.
Wow.
Yeah, Parker and King, these guys have done it a few times this season where they've beaten the living snot out of each other, if you will, if we're going to go with a nose joke here. Patrick Colby, that thing's smoking. Chad Coleman gaining some IQ points after this race tonight.
We're getting down to this, right? When you have a 130 lap race and you're under caution on lap 110, it's basically now a short sprint. Yeah, easy for me to say.
I know
Sprint to finish it. If I'm Chad Coleman, I kind of like this. I've got my track position.
Let's start with Macklin. He just loses the back end off wheel spin, and he kaplowies the inside wall.
TTT.
And then Tyler Dalton here ends up in the grass. Wasn't on lives, probably the next lap here.
Center surge, you could stomp on the gas there, and the car will go into center of the corner.
Problem is the front end finally grips and it turns.
He's in low again on entry.
Oh, right there, yeah. Dalton gets loose, and then he goes.
Same kind of situation where just a little too much. He did gather it up, but a little too much stress on those right side tires.
You see Jimmy Coleman takes it 3 wide in there at Allen Wild, and Yoakum just slides up the track, and Colby overcorrects into the wall, and Mons nowhere to go, and Tyler Dalton once again, he's making sure he gets the 1 and 2 grass too now. So he has made sure both yards are cut on both ends.
Needs a lawnmower company to sponsor him.
He's calling 811 before he digs, hopefully, but here's Chad Coleman still in the lead. Appreciate the
I think
viewers.
Yoakum just leaned on him a little too much there. There's nothing Patrick Colby could do. The car was
just tough break there. He got the contact, he wedged the car, and he tried to yank the wheel right, and it just overcorrected real quickly with the grip.
Well, I want to come back and talk about that brake bias thing that he spoke about. Let's talk about why that's so important. If you get the brake bias correct, you could drive the car deeper into the corner and get it slowed down. And not only can you carry more speed into the corner and through the center, but it actually helps the car turn left. And if you find the right combination of stopping power and that drag to the left that helps the car turn through the center, that's how you make speed. And we saw something interesting with Tyler Dalton. Sometimes you could drive the car down and really get hard on the brake, and it'll dump it all over on the right side, especially the right front. And if you punch the throttle in the middle of the corner, it surges the back of the car around, and then you let off, and it changes and it puts the weight on the right rear. And then as the car transitions over on the right rear, you can step on the gas and get your drive off and drive off from the right rear instead of pushing through the right front. I saw Tyler Dalton do that little jump in the middle of the corner. That's a move you could do at Loudon quite a bit, especially turn one. It loves that little punch of the throttle in the middle of the corner. But I think it is interesting to hear how much, Chris, focus God said about the brake bias. It really is the secret sauce as to how to get through the corner at this type of racetrack. This, Loudon, Milwaukee, and some of the other ones.
Did everybody take notes of what he just said? So, but the one thing I want to go back is, yeah, I mean, I forget which race it was. It might have been this one this weekend. The qualifying session. Harvick kind of explained something that I guess I never really thought this car was like that, but now that I've seen him show it and we're here at Gateway, like this car is kind of got a tendency that an IndyCar does when it comes to the way you throttle and brake. Because one of the first things I learned when I was trying to road course race in an IndyCar was when you throttle, you brake, you don't let the car roll. It's either you're one or the other. And it's the same for this car. It's either you're one or the other. If you're on the brake, you're off the gas. If you're on the gas, you're off the brake. You're not letting the car just kind of roll like you had the old school Gen 4 cars and stuff where you just let the car roll through the corner, roll the bottom, and then you roll back to the throttle. This car, you can't do that.
Yeah. There's some drivers who do that fancy footwork as we go back to green and figure out how to brake and throttle at the same time.
Oh, heel toe.
Heel toe, yeah. And especially you throw shifting in the mix as Coleman. Great restart for him. He's out and away. He's got a car length over Kevin King. Kevin hard off of turn two to his back bumper. He's alongside to the quarter, to the door. Straight even. He's going to really still it in here and take over the lead.
Oh, Pedro! Hey.
Wow.
Set it in there a little bit. Almost ran his teammate. Well, he did run his teammate up the track there.
I think the 38 probably saw it coming.
He's probably yelling Pedro in the Discord channel, dude, car high, car high.
And Pedro's trying to make that bottom line work, but he wants to be respectful of the 38. He knows how treacherous
Oh, Dalton's in the wall now off of the 9. Friends there getting into each other. Wetzel and Dalton. Dalton just having a rough night. And around goes Fuller off of Gonzalez.
I think Fuller is... we do not want to interview Mr. Fuller.
No, we're going to leave him alone.
We know how he loves this car. Although that one had nothing to do with the car. And a lot to do with Tag, you're it.
Let's see what happens here. As he loses position to Benfield, here comes
It's a little bit of the Commodores.
the Oreo special here.
Ready? Once. Twice. 3 times.
Oh, man. The problem is you had one of those moments here where Fuller is obviously clearly ahead of Gonzalez and commits into the bottom lane. And Gonzalez saw a gap where Fuller wasn't at the time and said, I'm going to shoot the gap. And unfortunately, 2 cars in the same piece of real estate.
I don't know that he was thinking he was going to turn down. I think he probably thought he was going to do high entry. And, you know, what happens, we were talking earlier in the race about this. I forget who we talked about. You sometimes watch, and we were talking about the different braking points. You watch the car in front of you and go, okay, they went in high. They're going to go in high. You know, it's a Cole Trickle kind of thing. He's going to go high. I know Cole, right?
Right.
He probably thinks he's going to drive in high because maybe last lap he did it, and then he turns it down.
And here's, you know, this is one of those where, in a way, you got to know your setting and situation here, too. You got to remember, Fuller's on older tires. So his braking point's going to be a little back from where it is originally, maybe on fresh tires. Where Gonzalez is looking low. He's giving him the old road course look here. if you will. There's the old trick where you kind of put yourself in the mirror of the car behind you so that you kind of trying to mess him up. That's what Gonzalez is kind of doing here. He's in the right and then he goes to the left because he's like, hey, I might have a run here. But Fuller's got an earlier braking point, goes to arc it in, and unfortunately Gonzalez fills the gap, and I'm pretty sure that Fuller's going to Oreos after that.
Didn't tap the brake after the first hit. I don't know that the 51 would have ever cut it, but if he had tapped the brake, then he'd been able to do what we talked about earlier, which is pull the car left. Instead, he got trapped in the yaw and couldn't get out. He was in the door, and the car was going to back all the way to the fence. And when you do that, you go in with the right front. So if you ever, unfortunately, tag somebody on the entry to corner, go tag and turn left, stomp on the brake so you don't get collected in the fence the way the 26 did.
You see a lot of that in short track racing, as you probably know, is if you get if you make incidental contact with somebody, sometimes you'll get out of the gas or on the brake, and if you're clear, obviously behind you of like any cars behind, like within a little bit of time or whatever, you'll almost let the other guy catch the car if he can, and then continue on and be like, hey, that's my, my bad. Continue on, be the leader. Let's race. Unfortunately, that situation.
In that moment, it almost slows down, right, Chris? You're going in, you see the guy on the right, you see him coming down, and you go, well, I'm going to hit him.
No, that's
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit him and finish him. He could come punch me after the race, but I want to keep racing. I don't want to go to the fence with him, so I'm going to hit him and clear him out, and then hold the brake and turn left.
Yeah.
And deal with him being pissed off later.
Well, 12 laps to go here in what is unfortunately turned into a wild one here at Gateway Motorsports Park, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Now next week, as we now get into the summer series here of the Sim500 NC811.org Cup Series. Of course, on the Xfinity side, we're at Chicagoland Speedway. The Cup side, we go to Auto Club Speedway. We're going out west, speaking of that 2-mile track there for you, Mr. Kevin England. We're going racing there.
Sir. That'll be fun.
We're going out to Auto Club Speedway for a 200-mile race there. Iowa Speedway after that. And then Nashville Super Speedway before the 4th of July weekend. So.
I have to say that the Auto Club is like the antithesis of this racetrack.
What?
All the space you need, any lane you want, all day long. You could eat popcorn while driving around that racetrack and not have to worry about crashing into anybody. So I think that thing's going to go green all the way. Let me make the prediction. Yep.
Anyway. All right, going back to the green. Your words are too big.
It's the direct opposite.
I kind of figured that, by the way. Auto Club stretched out. I kind of put 2 and 2 together there. As green comes back out, Kevin King, Josh Parker, renewing their acquaintances to each other. Of course, we go back to Atlanta, where those two got together. Wesley Donaldson went to victory lane as both of them get loose. Kevin tagged the wall a little bit there, it looked like. And then just a couple weeks ago, they had a race where they were playing argy-bargy with each other. But look at Benefield slide into second. So teammates 1-2 now. As they come to 10 laps to go. Coleman into the inside wall hard.
Oh no. I think there's a bumper on the track.
Oh, there definitely is.
On finish line.
He knocked
You left something.
Down there near Michael Waltrip's cell phone.
His car would not burn in the entry to turn 1 and 2, so his toe link, I think, is broken, and he's going to end up. Well, that's just terrible. Such a good run he had going with that strategy, and he was moments away from getting himself a top 10.
With a pretty bold
when
strategy.
you see someone like Coleman get sideways and slide, to talk about how treacherous this racetrack's been. A lot of the veterans, the 2, the 19, and others, along with what we just saw, you see drivers locking it up on entry to the corner. I mean, some of these guys, maybe 2 or 3.
Oh, into the wall goes Simley.
Simley.
I'm sorry, it's Mike Kelly. I'm sorry, it's Mike Kelly.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about. How hard is this racetrack?
And Medina
Anthony Tony coming back for a top 10.
Medina just went Houdini in 3 and 4, disappeared off the screen and popped back up in the high side of 3 and 4.
Tony making a run on the 10 car, which was against the outside wall in the exit of turn 4.
I mean, a lot of cars making comebacks here. Wesley Donaldson up in the top 10. Callan Tony, you mentioned. Comstock was the first caution tonight. He's 10th.
Yeah, I think for these guys, what they want to keep in mind here is at the end of the race, don't throw it away. It's so easy while you race a position and trying to run hard to lose it here in the final stretch. In fact, you can almost count on one car in front of you doing that. You're going to have that position. So what you give up by being a little more conservative in these final laps might pay off in another position just simply because somebody in front of you is going to screw up. As there's no screw up in Kevin King. He is going for yet another win, and Benfield came to second. I'd imagine there was a little practice going on between those two this week.
As Kelly and Coleman come to pit road, I'm watching this battle right up here for third and fourth year Parker and Mojica side by side with Cody Giles right there in the fifth position.
Oh,
who's
wow.
that?
Alan Tony just pancaked. Who was that?
Comstock.
13. Oh, he's not going to be happy.
That's a broken monster can, so the energy drink's not having a good night. That's Comstock's going to lip it around.
Build.
Yeah, left front's broken. Coming to 5 laps to go. Can we get back to the finish of this race?
Alan Tony going to pit road.
Yeah, he must have a meatball.
That's what I'm talking about. Right there at the end of the race, you need to be really kind of conservative. The 26 is on pit road. I mean, all these drivers who ran up front all night long.
Don't do it.
They're going to finish in the back tonight.
I knew what you were thinking.
No, I wasn't going to.
You'll bust some Lionel Richie out on us.
Nope.
Oh, man. Coming to 4 laps to go here. And, to go back to what you're saying, your point, though, I'm usually that guy. I'm usually that guy that will give you a couple free positions because I do something stupid.
I don't know if it's just my decor. I always lay down in those final laps because I've worked too hard to get up here into the top 10 or wherever I'm running. Even if I'm running 15th, I'll be happy with what I got. Right. It's what I earned through the whole race. Don't throw it away.
It's almost like it almost goes back to that don't try to get more out of your car than what it's got. Yeah. But easier said than done. As Fuller makes a pass here on the 54, Jimmy Coleman. Fuller's up to 12th after what he's been through. He's putting 4 fresh tires to work there, plus got his damage fixed or as much fixed as possible.
It's been a crazy night for these guys, but we knew opening the broadcast that it was going to be treacherous. They're just going to keep using the word treacherous off of turn 2 especially, and it seems like turn 4 coming together. It narrows up because you come off the corner and you really are just... Oh! Wow.
And that's right here in the middle somewhere. I'm not sure. I saw Fuller go past Jatina. And somebody spun over here somewhere. We shall see. It looks like it was Mike Kelly. And Fuller went off track, it looks like, for a second. So, drama.
Drama, I mean, what happened to Mike Kelly? He was upside down over there.
Oh, boy. We'll find out. Here's Kelly. He goes into turn 3's trying to catch the oh, boy. And then gets clobbered by Fuller and Jatina.
We were just like Fuller's
and then
car.
The right front just kind of, I don't know what to call that.
See the arrow underneath the car. All the other teams are taking pictures of what the car looks like on the bottom.
That was just some overcorrecting there, and unfortunately, Kelly comes back down the track, and Jatina and Fuller collect him. You can just see the hospital hop right there, and then bam, head first into the wall, and you see Kelly lock the brakes up.
locking them up.
I just looked at, and all of a sudden I saw a video this week of somebody joked around on Twitter and called it the worst dog versus turtle fight in history. And it shows this turtle getting all like angry with the dog, and the dog just kind of walks up with its nose and flips the turtle on its back. That's kind of what that just looked like there.
Well, this will be interesting. Will Adam Benfield have anything for Kevin King?
We'll go to overtime here. And this continues a streak, by the way. I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
But
yes, you did. You said it earlier.
I didn't say it about this series.
Well, yeah,
Charlotte, Darlington, Kansas, Dover. We are now 5 straight overtime races to finish the Cup Series. And Kevin King.
Throw this one in, Chris. Ready?
Go ahead. Uh-huh.
You know, the Midway, when you go to a NASCAR race, they have all those sims. So I hopped in the Toyota sim for iRacing.
Oh, dear.
For Charlotte. It was about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I got out of the thing, and the guy said, hold on a minute. I said, what? What do you... He said, you just ran the fastest lap of the day. And he took out some iPad and wrote all the numbers down and whatever. It was a Fanatec setup.
Uh-huh.
In a sim rig, and it was so natural racing that thing. It was really cool. He said, you got to come back at 6 o'clock. Well, the race started at 6 o'clock, so I wasn't coming back. So, but I don't know. I could have won a cooler or something.
Were you the only one that ran over a lap there?
Was I the only one?
Sorry.
No,
I know.
People were stacked.
That's awesome.
Wide.
That's awesome. Good for you, man. That's cool. Hey, how about this number for you?
Shoot.
On April 8th, which was, we are now looking 7 races ago, Kevin King won his first race of the season at Homestead Miami Speedway. Ever since then, we have only had 2 other winners. Tyler Dalton, David Comstock. Kevin King is going for his 6th win in 8 races if he can pull off this overtime finish tonight.
This is characteristic KK. He just, when he starts winning, he wins, and
Casey
I
Kane?
would not be surprised. Negative.
Oh.
I saw Casey Kane's race shop.
Cool shop.
And screen printing
I was
shop.
going to say he's got his t-shirts in there. Yeah. Did you go to the food places we talked of?
Quite a few of them, actually.
Did you go any of the ones I suggested?
Yeah.
And?
Yeah. We didn't see any drivers, but everything was outstanding. There wasn't a bad meal in the place.
Good.
Everything. Actually, I have to say, for Cheddar's, I was surprised how good that restaurant was. Went to one of those somewhere in there.
Kyle Busch appreciates
We were
that.
at Penske Racing, and I looked to the left, and I said, "Here's Joey Logano walking out the front entrance."
Huh.
So that looks like Joey Logano. Well, we pulled over at the exit just before we turned out. There was a car sitting there. It's like, what are they doing here? I was trying to set my GPS for going to the next place. And who pulls up and stops at the stop sign for Joey Logano? The people in front got out and started talking to him in the middle of the road and giving his autograph and stuff.
That's funny.
I thought that was funny. I said, no, I'm not going to be that guy. Just sat in the car and finished.
That's funny.
Kevin's going to take the outside lane here for this restart.
Penske, by the way, awesome shot, by the way, to walk on that little
amazing
top
amazing.
part to look down at the garage. Yeah, it's really cool.
Definitely one of the best.
Yeah. So, yeah, King takes the outside on his teammate here. I'm sure they're going to work something out to where they'll be 1-2 here as they cross the start-finish line, or they might just race it out themselves. We'll see. But Mojica outside there, Josh Parker on the inside. Cody Giles looking to finish off what could be his best run in months here in the 5th position. Wesley Donaldson back there in 6th. Rivera, and then Richard Beasley. And look at Friery and Charles Van Schaik rounding out your top 10.
Parker's going to push Benfield down. Mojica is a polite racer. He's not going to cause any difficulty coming in here to turn 1, but Parker's going to be the assertive one. King is out by a car length over Mojica to the outside lane with the momentum, but Benfield's right there with him. Going to block him coming down the back straightaway as Mojica side drafts. King's in control right now.
Yeah, he got everything he needed through a little defensive move there to make sure Benfield didn't have the run. As Benfield's going to clear for a second. Yeah. As and Parker into the wall. White flag's taken, so this race is official. As we hit the white flag, up the track goes Wesley Donaldson and Beasley into the wall. Everybody trying to survive.
Turn 3 is top 4 kind of settled nose to tail. That doesn't look very different. Beasley washes up the racetrack. Rivera drives underneath. Here comes the 91 leaning on the 10. That's going to be a drag race off, and they're going to be 3 wide with the 91 getting turned. Oh no, he's going to slide across the line, being pushed by the tide ride.
Not the cleanest finish for those two.
King.
Yeah, Kevin King scores a 6th win. Yep, 6th win in 8 races. As King just continues to roll, and it's a 1-2 for the Team Conti team. As King is won here at the Gateway Motorsports Park Worldwide Technology Raceway. Benfield Mojica, Cody Giles with a 4th place finish. Good for him. Look at those. Look at the top 10. Fuller ends up 7th. Van Schaik 8th. Jatina 9th. Yoakum 10th. Chad Coleman ends up 11th. Or no, sorry, that's Jimmy Coleman. Never mind.
How did Fuller make it after all the... Yeah, RedRips.com going to burn him down here on the front stretch. He's going to do it in reverse.
Is he trying to pull? I think he is. There's a guy on my Wednesday series named Jonathan Tuckness who's been doing what I call the moonwalk, where he actually locks up the front brakes and drives it backwards. It looks like he's sliding. And I think that's what Kevin's trying to do here. I don't know. I think his car's revving. Yeah, he's got it pegged. He's doing a backwards burnout. There's no smoke, but, you know.
Wait a minute.
Who's that guy? Guy know the race is over? I mean, he's doing it. You can see the marks being laid. There's just no smoke.
Now he gets in the Geico restart zone. He's going to go around.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Blew the motor. He damaged the motor somehow?
Yeah, he definitely blew it. Well, I mean, he was revving it backwards.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the finishing order here. This was a wild one. King gets to win. Benfield 2nd, Mojica 3rd. Giles finishes 4th. Great run for him. Nelson Rivera 5th. Robert Friery 6th. Justin Fuller, Van Schaik, Jatina. Randy Yoakum finishes 10th. Jimmy Coleman 11th. Wesley Donaldson 12th. Richard Beasley 13th. Josh Parker and Bobby Wetzel ends up back in the 15th position. Good comeback for him. I know he had some issues here tonight. And this is going to be a wild post race, I have a feeling. Medina 16th. Tyler Dalton 17th. Mons, Simley, Sigmund, Wertman, and Alan Wild 22nd. Mike Kelly 23rd. Calantoni, Gonzalez 25th. Coleman, Schrader, Colby, all these guys had issues tonight. Macklin, Livingston, Stone, O'Rourke, Campbell. And unfortunately, Glenn was the final finisher here in a race that saw a large amount of cautions, unfortunately. A lot of attrition and one winner, and that being the driver of the number 29, and that being Kevin King. As we'll talk to him and a couple other drivers. Just reading some notes on my end here really quickly. Let me look back into the Sim500 channel and talk to our top 3, and look who's 3rd. How about Pedro Mojica? Returns to the series, and unlike last night where he had some issues there mid-race, he comes back tonight, gets himself a top 3 finish here tonight. Pedro, obviously, congratulations, man. Obviously, as we said earlier, good to have you back in the series here and returning tonight, but probably not what you expected to see with the cautions and the crazy racing and just the treacherous track, but still able to come home with a top 3.
Yeah, no, that race was nuts. I did pick a heck of a race to come back to, huh? But I mean, these kind of tracks, like, I wouldn't necessarily say they're my best tracks, so I always like to do them because they're challenging to me. So that's why I decided to come back. Plus, I had a little bit of the itch to race, but yeah, I just was moving stuff around the house and whatnot. Just didn't have the internet hooked up for a little while there on the computer, but then got the itch, got everything back up and running, and like I said earlier, it's like, see Kevin running as good as he is. It's like kind of like, hey man, I wonder, can I compete with this guy? Can I compete with somebody like him still? Like I used to back in the old days when we used to run the Coke Series back in 2012 and whatnot. But yeah, no, the race was nuts though. I mean, there at the end, it did kind of suck. Like I do wish I hate when the yellows come out like that because it's just guessing restarts and hoping things work out in your favor. And one restart things would work out perfect, and the next restart I'd lose 2 spots or something, and then gain a spot the next one. So it's just kind of all over the place. So usually like once Kevin got, like practically whoever got to the lead first when Chad stayed out, when Chad and Fuller stayed out, was probably going to win that race just with the way the yellows were coming out. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I overall pretty happy. Like I hadn't raced this car in months. I think Vegas, um, and to pick a track like this to come back to, um, you know, I think the biggest thing, is repetition with this car, right? Like practicing, just racing in general. Like there's certain things that I was rusty on. Took me a little while to get back in the groove just during the race, but yeah, I'd say it was a good effort tonight. Um, Made it interesting for a little bit there. Um, but yeah, I'll take a P3, and congrats to Kevin. Like I said, he's really good, and if you're able to at least run with him and try to make him sweat a little bit, then I'll call that a small victory. But yeah, hopefully I'll try to do more of these, and um, hopefully could try to win some of these, just for fun. But we'll see.
So, Kevin, I can't help but think about this really quickly. I'm picturing Pedro as he talked about he was vacuuming and stuff, and just kind of looked over. I'm picturing Robert Duvall in Days of Thunder when he's walking in the garage, and there sits that car, and he kind of dusts it off a little bit and things. I'm picturing Pedro just kind of sweeping, and then
Yeah.
maybe bumps into the chair a little bit, and he just looks around, just kind of dust off the
This is
rig, and
not what I'm looking for from you.
all of a sudden starts motivating himself to be like, you know what, I'm going racing tonight. That kind of sound accurate, Pedro?
Yeah, no, it's been like that for the last week or so. Just kind of seeing it, eyeing it, and just feeling like, you know what, like, yeah, I want to get back in and race and see what I could do. And just have fun. That's all I want is just have fun and compete at a high level, but enjoy it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. Well, obviously, I know it was tough tonight, and it's obviously good to have you back. I mean, obviously, for however time we get, it's always cool to have you there. So, appreciate you spending a weekend here, Sunday and Monday, with us, and hopefully we'll get you back again soon. And send some shout outs as always, whoever you like to, buddy.
Yeah, first off, you, Chris, and Kevin, man, you guys do a great job with these broadcasts. During the time that I've been off, I'll jump on and watch the broadcasts, and I think a few times I'll comment on things and whatnot. So, I think you guys do a great job with everything. So, appreciate you and Captain Esports for what y'all do. NC811 for sponsoring the series. All the guys on Team Name. Feel bad for Josh. I think that was just really a racing incident there at the end. We were racing hard. Um, I think we just got a little too close there off the corner, and just he was cranking it and he barely touched my left rear, and it sent him around, unfortunately. So feel bad for Josh, but overall, like, the guys did pretty good tonight. So appreciate all them on Team Name. All the admins at Sim500, appreciate what they do, and then yeah, just congrats to Kevin on the win.
Well, great job tonight, man. Good talking to you as always, and all the best.
Thanks.
All right, Pedro Mojica finishing third here tonight, and obviously, as we've mentioned, good to see him back here with us this evening and this weekend. But obviously, otherwise, this was a straight dominant effort tonight out of Kevin King, and and Adam Benfield obviously had to work his way up through the field twice after getting some damage, and gets himself a top 2 finish. And Kevin, we'll let you talk to Mr. Benfield.
Yeah, Adam, a second place finish, solid run. I don't know that you had anything for Kevin at the end, but you came from deep within the field. You were running outside the top 10, middle of the race. I think one of the key moments was missing Tyler Dalton as he went sideways at one point, and then you just slowly picked him off. A second place finish. Got to be happy with that coming out of such a treacherous racetrack.
Yeah. I mean, happy in general. Finally finished one of these things where I feel like I should have been. Didn't think it was going to be this long to get a top three, but we finally did it. I Short run there. I mean, Kevin can just fire off way better than me. I really would just need a long run, and me and him. I mean, hell, he's the one that taught me a lot of the stuff that I know how to do on here from um, when I first got on iRacing. I mean, he's taught me how to save and manage tires and all that good stuff. So it's would have been like the student going against the teacher there, and uh, I've only pulled that off once. So I don't know. It would have been interesting. I would like to see it. But yeah, short run, he was just lights out.
Talk about that battle behind you. Were you aware with what was going on between Parker and and Pedro?
Hell, I was just trying not to get run over. If we're being honest,
Yeah.
those guys would just bury it so deep into the corner, and that was the thing. Like I knew on the restart right there that Josh rolled me in the restart zone, so he got a good start, and then Pedro got a good run off two, and I tried to just stay committed to where I've been breaking and everything, and I figured if I just stayed committed and made sure I tried to roll that curb, then maybe they would bury it in on entry and slide up, and I would clear them, and lo and behold, that's what happened. So, uh, yeah, I mean, I seen them battling in the mirror, but I honestly I wasn't really worried. If I could have just got clear of them, I figured I would have been okay. But
Yeah, at
yeah,
that point, it's just a matter of following Kevin in his tire tracks. But you know what? We looked at everybody. Nobody looked really comfortable, especially off turn two, turn four. Looked very treacherous. But for some reason, watching you through the night, your car looked stable, in control. What's the secret to that running this racetrack? Or
I
do I have that wrong?
No, no. I mean, I agree. Like me and Kevin were talking. We were talking about tires at the end of that long first run, and I was 2% difference from right front to right rear, and my rears were even, dead even. They were 74 across the board, and that's one thing I focused on. That's always been a real strong point, I guess you could say, of me on here is I'm not going to fire off. I'm a long run driver. I like to really manage tires and bring them up to temperature properly and take care of them. I'm normally that long run guy, and it that's the biggest thing. Like that's how we did it back in the day when I was in Coke. You could not slide the tires. If you slipped them one time, you made them bark one time. It was it. So I just really managed my throttle, and even with the shifting, like I was kind of talking to Kevin during a caution. Our shift points were different, and I was kind of telling him where I was doing, what I was doing, and just trying to be patient with throttle. Because I mean, you shift down to third here, and you can roast one of these. You look like freaking John Force coming out of two, and I
Yeah.
just trying to just make sure I kept it, tires bit up and not pissed off.
Yeah, interesting how different everybody was. I'm sure you could see it through the field as you worked with different cars in front of you or behind you, and there's just something interesting about this racetrack and the way that it races. It's tough. This is one of the toughest tracks. Do you agree?
I've said it all week long, and I say it now. I think this place would make a great bass pond. Uh,
I
I
said
mean,
that.
I
Yeah.
think it would be
Welcome to the
hellacious fishing right here, because it is a
Thank you.
terrible racetrack. I
Yeah,
hate it.
I had the same reaction, and I like flat racetracks, but I agree with you. So I'm glad we're of the same mind. How about it, Adam? You want to give a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, just thanks to all the guys at Team Conti, Sim Performance. Big things happening over there. Uh, if you're looking to take your sim racing to the next level, check us out. You guys for broadcasting it. What is it? I always get it mixed up because I want to say 911. So it's NC 811, correct?
There you go.
Yeah, NC 811 for the sponsor. Oh, it's on the top of the screen. My bad. I could have just looked.
It happens.
Yeah, you guys for broadcasting it, and Joey for letting me come back. I was here a long time ago, and before I was in Coke, and made it to the Coke Series, and kind of focused on that for a while. And Joey's welcomed me back with open arms. Few others haven't, but that's fine. But and then Kevin, I mean, it's a 2-man deal. Like, we're just doing this for fun. We're just doing it to hang out and have fun and see what we can do. And we work pretty well together. It's fun getting back to work with Kevin. Kevin was, like I said, he was a big piece of the puzzle for me to get to Coke. He really taught me a lot, and uh, he was hard on me. So it's kind of fun to come back and be able to race with him again.
Well, we're certainly happy to have you back and appreciative of the performance. And I don't know how you find a better mentor than someone like KK. So good on you to be able to work with him, and it's showing. Let's see what you're going to do for the rest of the season, Adam. As second place is the signal that it's time to turn up the wick for the rest of the season, and we're looking for your car in victory lane really shortly.
Thank you, boss.
There you go. Adam Benfield finishes second. He agrees with me, Chris. We must be like two brothers from another mother or something. He said, fill the place up, make it a pond.
Here's the thing, though. This is what came to my head as I was thinking about you guys saying that again is, how are you going to turn this into a pond when you have the Mississippi River like throwing distance from here?
Dig a hole. Dig a hole.
Let it roll through.
Yeah, make it a whole pond. Like I said, throw a couple of Christmas trees down there in the bottom. We'll have a hell of a bass pond.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, and real quick, it's Benefield. It's like Benefield without the D.
Benefield.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I'll work on that one for next week. Everybody, appreciate the help.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
Reminds me of Dumb and Dumber. Samsonite. I was way off.
It sounds like something you should name it. Ballfield. Benefield.
Benefield. Yes, got it. All right. Well, I don't think I can get Kevin King's name wrong. So let's talk to the guy that's now won 6 out of the last 8 races, goes to victory lane, and what was craziness here tonight. Let's start with this question. Was there ever a time tonight where you almost lost it?
On the track or in my mind?
Both.
Yes. Yeah, there was, I think, early in the race. The first couple laps into 3, it's pretty sketchy with this setup, and I think I was going 3 wide, and I went a little too deep. I think I measured myself against Jose there, and I slid pretty substantially, and it wasn't too fun. But that was on the track, and then I had a few other times I was getting loose, but nothing that kind of scared me. And then towards the end there with some restart stuff and just the yellows and stuff, I was getting pretty frustrated because I felt like we had a really good momentum thing going as far as the league was going. Like I thought everyone was doing a really good job as hard as it was getting to drive, and all of a sudden we just kind of lost our minds. So a little frustrating when that happens because then everything starts to change, right? The strategies, people staying out, taking 2 yellows happen over and over and over, restarts, makes things a lot more challenging. But overall, I airballed my qualifying lap and was able to still pull it out. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah, obviously, you get the momentum there. You're able to take the lead. I think the worst thing that happened to you tonight, and on board your car and in your rig, it probably doesn't look so bad. But unfortunately, watching your burnout tonight, you did a great job leaving the marks, but no smoke.
Yeah, I don't know. In my replay, there's smoke. I thought it would be looking cool, and then I went back and watched the broadcast, and there was nothing. I thought that was pretty disappointing. I don't know if it's a physics thing where it doesn't show across for some reason, which is odd. But the moment I went forward, it started to show again. I saw that, and I was like, "Well, that's stupid. I'm not doing that again." I want to do something a little different.
Which is funny because I have a guy in another league that's been, I call it the moonwalk. But he does what you kind of did there, but he kind of does it where he's sitting still, but the car kind of slides backwards. So I was like, maybe trying to do that again, maybe, or
Yeah, I was chipping out. I was spinning them because it was on my end.
Oh, we
It
could
was
see the
smoke everywhere.
marks. You could see the rear tires.
But I just didn't want to show the fun. Apparently, so that's not fun.
Even makes you wonder if it's positive traction because I mean I know it's independent suspension, but it was like one streak of a tire and that was it. But still, man, obviously great job. I know surviving these kind of races can be tough because you starting back, I think it was like mid-teens, like 18th or something like that. You had to come up through the field there to get this to work out, and with those cautions, you had to avoid a couple wrecks.
Yeah, I mean, I went from 18th to 10th because they wrecked each other in the first lap. That was pretty easy, and then I grabbed a couple more on the next start. And then I really just drove too hard. Honestly, I felt pretty confident in the pace, but I just drove way too hard. I was really, really aggressive, way more aggressive than I probably should have been. I just wanted to get to the lead and kind of get the clean air, just not really knowing what was going to happen for tires. And then I was checking on Adam because I know how Adam's sneaky fast sometimes, and he was like 6 seconds, and then he was like 5.8, then he's like 5.5, and I'm like, oh my god, like this guy's freaking flying. So he was doing amazing back there, and I think I had it. I cooled down my tires a little bit, so he wasn't quite knocking 0.3 off a lap. It was like more like a 1.5, and I felt like that was a lot better. And I thought like once I was able to pit, I could change the way I was driving, which is really stupid, and manage that a lot better. And of course, the yellow came out, and so that kind of threw out the window. But the second run, I definitely I backed it down quite a bit. I was way just too aggressive with my throttle inputs and my shifting. I was trying to think like I was doing with Coke, and it's quite a bit different. So it was definitely fun. I mean, I'm super happy that he was able to pull it out. I know he had some issues there and he got pushed back, but him to get back up to second, I know he's had some good runs all season, and to finally have him, he was probably more, no doubt he was faster than me in that long run, that first run, so he definitely at minimum needed to finish second that race based on pure pace, himself or Peugeot, I think, but for him to pull out second was really cool.
Last but not least, there was a new car on track tonight, the 101 car. It was the Donaldson Beasley combo, and they really got stuck to each other at the end.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Did Beasley wreck him? He probably did.
Some argy-bargy, we'll call it like that. But Beasley had another clean run. He finished 13th still, but
Yeah, I think, well, I will say this. I mean, Justin was really fast, but he had some issues with pitting and whatnot, and he got stuck back there, and he still finished 7th. So if Justin came back from a lap down and finished 7th, and Richard finished 13th, who didn't get stuck a lap down, I'm not sure if that was a great run because he should at least beat Fuller, who, at some point was a lap behind him with older tires. So I have to figure out exactly what he did wrong to not even finish at least where Fuller did. But yeah, good for Beasley. Like I said, it's one of those tracks where he's going to have to use his brakes. It sounds like during the race he might have used some other people as his brake, because again, he's just so wide open. So he probably used 5th gear on the track. Is probably his biggest problem. He didn't know how to shift, but I didn't see him at the start-finish line. I didn't know he was in the race.
I think
but now that you told me,
who was the car that flew past you?
that was Comstock. Beasley just kind of sits there and watches because he's like, he wants to know what that would feel like doing burnouts and such. But I didn't know he was in the race until you told me. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch to see how he did, and see how see what kind of race he had.
See, I can't.
I love Beasley. Beasley. I've known that guy for so long. I have to give him hell. I give him hell basically every single day. Right now, he's probably on the show ripping packs. He buys stubs, I think, every other day and creates like these 99 Mega God teams. And so he's probably doing that now to kind of cope with his race. But yeah, every day I kind of give him some.
I'm on board with doing it with you. I'm on board with doing it with you. That's kind of fun. But I can't really say much anymore because the team I cheer on, when I get a chance to watch a baseball game, I just watched one of their pitchers flip a glove into the crowd and literally walk himself off the roster. So I don't know if that means that team's doing any well. So,
well, that team actually beat my team tonight, which is not saying much because I have a really bad team.
No.
And our payroll is about an eighth of what the Mets are, so I don't feel too bad. You guys almost choked it away at the very end, though. But tomorrow CJ will play and probably win by 15 or something like that. But yeah, he's still a Braves fan. He doesn't know Ronald, so he's not doing it.
So he's good. He's good until October. So.
Well, not this year. I think they're done this year. I don't think they're going to be able to.
So they want to make October.
Some other games.
Oh, so don't even have to worry about it.
I don't think so this year. I don't think they have it.
Yeah, hate to see it. All right, great job. Send some shout outs.
You guys, of course, everyone in the league, Joey, specifically, he puts up with a lot of stuff, all the admins and whatnot. Adam Benefield, specifically, again, he had an amazing race, so kudos to him. NC811.org, I don't think I've shouted them out before. I want to make sure they get some good plugs. Can't wait to go watch the broadcasts. RevGrips.com. Again, if you guys like mountain biking or know some people that do mountain biking, help save their wrists and get the pump shock and all that fun stuff out of their wrists, and go get some of those cool grips. And yeah, we'll see you next week, whatever racetrack it's at. Is it a road course?
No, that's a couple weeks. Where did I say we were last week? I looked just a little bit ago. By the way, Beasley, were you in this race?
Yeah, man, I was fifth with one to go.
Well, there you go. Auto Club next week. So
Beasley don't even better. Breaks. So no, yeah, Beasley. He's looking forward to. He circled it because he's like wide open, two mile.
That's fine.
15 miles wide.
Rip the top.
So you finished. You went from 5th to 13th in 2 laps. Yeah. That's good. Good job.
Yeah. So what happened was, they wrecked on the front stretch. I dove to the bottom and then overshot turn 1, went to the fence, came back out of there, still in 6, and then went into 3 and it didn't turn.
Did you overshoot or did you follow Wesley?
No, I overshot. I put him in the fence.
See, there's that 101 car I was talking about.
Yeah, there it is. So. You're a menace.
No.
All right, we'll let you guys go. Have fun.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No problem. I'm having way too much fun with this Beasley hacking.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, we get to talk about it enough. He's just like a superstar. When we run Talladega or one of these races and he wins, he can make fun of Kevin.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give him the floor. I will give him the floor when that happens. Like, yeah, have at it. Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome though. Well, obviously an entertaining end, we'll call it, to a wild race here tonight. I know it kind of had issues, and we kind of maybe saw it coming because of just how treacherous it was during practice and stuff. But you know what? Everybody had the same racing, same elements and everything. And unfortunately, we had caution. So
I joke that I want to fill the place, but honestly, I kind of like this kind of racing. I like it when it's difficult. It's like racing Darlington. It's a challenge.
It's just,
some of it's, I hate to say stupid, but they could fix the setup, they could fix the grip, they could fix the track, and it would be an outstanding track to race. I don't know that this package or combination is right, but I love flat racetracks like this. They're one of my favorite. I love New Hampshire. Is my favorite racetrack. There's no doubt about it.
The thing about this track is it's not right, and the reason being is you've got a next gen car on a track that was repaved 5 years ago, at least.
Yeah.
And so when iRacing is doing everything they can to match the sim up with real life racing, you've got this mix, and it's not right, so obviously it throws a curveball at everybody. But they did the best they could tonight, and it was unfortunate, but the good news is we get to try again next Monday night at Auto Club Speedway, and I think we're going to see a lot better of a race from the guys out there on that track. They usually put on a good show on that 2-mile track, so looking forward to it. So, but Mr. England, appreciate you joining me as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Kevin England there is. Appreciate 811, NC811.org for sponsoring the series as always. Big shout out to Joey Jatina for allowing us to broadcast this on Monday nights. Big shout out to the fans as always. As I kind of mentioned yesterday, by the way, the month of May was the largest viewing month in Captain Esports history, thanks to all the YouTube shorts that we've been putting up of all the finishes of the races and other stuff. And
thank you, everybody.
So big appreciation to everybody there. So we're gonna head out, enjoy the rest of your Monday nights, and always remember, this isn't just a game, it is iRacing. See ya.
copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, or retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain Esports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The following is a special presentation. From the Captain Esports Network.